there's actually a channel in our Discord to say, what would that look like to you? And you can go to the channel. You'll see it, the blueprint for a better man. You can see the questions that we're asking, and we'd love to have your input. So again, another reason to join our Discord. It's free. By the way, we are streaming on YouTube. Please consider subscribing over there, and you can check out all the other various socials that we are at. Check. Got all that. We're going to get into this story because it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. Because when you can't catch up to your lies, and then you end up telling more lies, and then you have to pivot in an entirely different direction, that becomes a bit problematic. So we'll talk about that. I do want to first acknowledge the fact you might notice the gold ribbon that's in our background. It's because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And those of you who know, I've talked about this before. My daughter's a 2-time cancer survivor, doing very, very well. But I thought I would acknowledge the fact that it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and just provide some information on childhood and pediatric cancer in our country. Childhood cancers are considered very rare, affecting fewer than 200,000 individuals, yet collectively, they're among the leading causes of disease-related death in children and adolescents. Approximately 9,550 children will be diagnosed this year under the ages of 15. They are expected to be diagnosed, and around 1,100 will lose their life from it. Since 1970, mortality in children and adolescents has declined by over 50%. The 5-year survival rate between 2013 and 2019 stands at 85% for children and 87% for adolescents. Progress lags, though, in aggressive pediatric cancers. More than 4,000 children annually are enrolled in trials through the National Cancer Institute, also through COGS groups, also known as COG. Over 90% of diagnosed U.S. children and or adolescents receive care at COG-affiliated institutions, which collectively maintain nearly 100 active trials across many cancer types. Pediatric cancer research receives only 1% of overall federal cancer research funds. The National Cancer Institute allocated roughly $50 million to the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative and $28 million to the STAR Act in fiscal year 2024. The National Institute of Health needs funding. Advocates urge Congress in fiscal year 2026 to allocate $51.3 billion to NIH, including full funding of STAR, CCDI, and the Kids First program. These are all programs specifically designed to for funding to research institutions, colleges, and universities to help battle and create treatment plans. I've talked about this publicly. My daughter was one of the people whose treatment plan was funded through research through the NIH and through the NCI. So when we talk about cuts to programs like that, that is directly impactful. Okay, so again, the mouth breathers want to say, well, it doesn't say in the big beautiful bill that they're cutting cancer research. Of course it doesn't, because you could never get that passed, right? Because of the language, but we know what it means. Okay. The fiscal year 2025 federal budget included significant cuts to pediatric cancer research and accessibility programs, triggering concern for the research community. $5.5 million, there's private sector grants is what you depend on. $5.5 million awarded in 2025 to 75 researchers at 40 institutions, the largest in its history. $5.6 million invested in life-saving studies in 2025. These are all from private sector grants. Hyundai's Hope on Wheels, over $27 million in grants awarded across 2025, including from Hyundai Scholar Impact, Young Investigators, and the Bridge 2K grants, ranging from $50K to $400K. Long story short, it's always been underfunded. 1% of all funding that goes to research for cancer goes to pediatric cancer. I'd like to think that we could start to flip that script. I know that the impacts other cancers are, we get a lot of funds raised for breast cancer research and for prostate cancer. Those are all incredibly important. We do need to increase exposure to the lack of funding that supports pediatric cancer. So please be on the phone with your representatives and your senators to make sure that they are aware that it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and then use that as a tool or an arrow in your quiver, so to speak. So we will be acknowledging the fact that it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month all month. So thank you for that. Okay, again, we're going to get into this story, but there's a few things that we should probably talk about first, because we are approaching a government shutdown. And the problem, I'm not going to say the problem, but the issue with the government shutdown is It is political football, and it impacts so many lives. So you might recall that back in the spring, the Democrats, and rightly so, took a lot of heat for continuing to keep the government open. So you're going to hear things like CR, continuing resolution, and appropriations and rescissions packages. We're going to kind of talk through that a little bit this morning. The first thing I should mention, though, is that Congress is back in session officially, fully today, right? So the government is scheduled to run out of money. Let's back up a second. Congress's job at the end of the day is to keep the government functioning. That's their job. That is the most important thing that they're supposed to do. Keep the government running and functioning. That's it. The top of the list of their, you're supposed to clean the fryer every night. You're supposed to sweep the floors. At the top of Congress's list, it's keep the fucking government open. Okay. So these funding bills, it does that. So the government will technically run out of money on the 30th of this month. Okay, so that's kind of what we're marching towards. Now you think, hey, no facts, it's the 22nd, they've got time. Actually, they don't. They only work 4 days this week. They only work 4 days next week. The week after that, they're off. Then they go back into session on the 29th, and then the 30th is when the government shuts down. So they have 10 days. 10 days to figure this shit out. So what's involved? The issue comes down to the appropriations bills. So there's 12 separate appropriations bills, and they cover the departments within our government. For example, agriculture covers rural development. So agriculture, rural development, and the Food and Drug Administration. They include the USDA, the FDA, rural housing, nutrition programs like WIC and SNAP again. Then you've got commerce, which is also commerce, justice, and science. It funds the Department of Commerce. It funds the DOJ, it funds NASA and NSF, then Defense, Department of Defense, or the Department of War. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Pentagon operations, weapons systems, and troops. Energy and water development. It funds the Department of Energy, Army Corps of Engineers, nuclear programs, the financial services and government in general government, or FSGG. It funds the Treasury. It funds the IRS, the SEC, federal courts, non-defense federal courts, and then small agencies. Homeland Security funds DHS, Border Patrol, FEMA, TSA, and Coast Guard. Department of the Interior and the Environment. It funds the Department of the Interior, the EPA, National Parks, Arts and Humanities, and the endowment programs connected to those. Labor, Health, and Human Services, Education. It funds the Department of Labor. It funds HHS, which is RFK's group, including the CDC and the NIH, and also the Department of Education. It funds Congress itself, Capitol Police, Congressional Budget Office. So Congress, it funds Congress. It's crazy how this works. Military construction and Veterans Affairs, MILCON, or the VA. It's the VA Healthcare Benefits, Military Base Construction and Housing, State and Foreign Operations, the State Department, USAID, Foreign Aid, international organizations, and then Transportation and Housing and Urban Development, DOT, Department of Transportation, the FAA, Amtrak, HUD, housing programs. All 12 of those have to be agreed on from an appropriations. Again, you guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. You know this. The House has the budget. The House is the one that allocates funds to these various departments and agencies. They appropriate these funds. Now, the rescissions package is a bit more complicated. The rescissions package gives the president the authority to basically demand Congress to cut funding for these programs. That's what got voted on in the spring. That's why the big, beautiful bill basically got passed, because of rescissions. So it's roughly $9.5 to $10 billion that were cut from various programs, including some of the ones we've discussed before, USAID, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is, if they're not passed, all 12, if they're not passed and or CRs, continuing resolutions, then the government shuts down. So they've got until the 30th of this month to figure that shit out. Here's the issue. So what happens? So we don't talk about this in terms enough of what happens if the government shuts down. Federal agencies close or scale back. Agencies without funding must stop non-essential operations. Each department prepares a shutdown plan, deciding which workers and programs continue. And it's broken down to essential and non-essential. Essential, expected employees keep working without pay until funding resumes. For example, so think about this. You're a government employee, okay? You are working in one of these agencies, the TSA officers, Border Patrol, air traffic controllers, active duty military, for example. Thank you, Switch Raiders. Love you guys. Thank you, Switch Raiders. Hearts in the chat for Switch Raiders, please. You're considered an essential employee. You have to go to work every day and not get paid. Now you get back pay, but it's been delayed in the past. So the expectation is the Trump government shutdown, the Republican government shutdown, because that would be my messaging if I was in charge of the DNC. I'd be going out with it every fucking day, 12 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 25 hours a day. The Trump government shutdown, the MAGA Republican government shutdown, Mike Johnson's government shutdown. Let them wear that collar, okay? Because they're going to blame the Democrats no matter what anyway. Again, essential employees, TSA officers, Border Patrol, air traffic controllers, active duty military, and then non-essential and or furloughed employees, they're placed on unpaid leave. Example, many federal researchers, clerical staff, regulatory work. All affected federal employees eventually receive back pay. It's required by law after past shutdowns, but contractors often do not. So here's some impact. Social Security and Medicare benefits continue since they are mandatory spending, okay? Military and national security, active duty military and key intelligence staff work without pay until appropriations are restored. Air travel, flights continue, but TSA and FAA workers may face delays and strain. Yeah, no kidding. National parks and museums usually close or operate with limited staffing. The FDA, the Food and Drug Safety Administration, that's cool, may halt routine inspections. Good to know. Research, National Institute of Health and other federal labs pause most grant programs and experiments. Now, if you think back a second, right, a lot of the funding being cut to Harvard, Columbia, et cetera, Harvard won their case because what they're trying to do is just criminal and diabolical, right? So here we are. A lot of those programs are funded through the government. And now, because they want to shut the Trump government shutdown, the MAGA, say it with me, the Trump government shutdown, the MAGA Republican government shutdown, because that's what it will be, because they are the party in power. So those programs go away, okay? Those programs go away. They get they get either their funding cut, delayed, paused, whatever it might be. Housing and assistance programs. New applications for loans, housing vouchers, or small business loans may be frozen. Federal courts, they operate for a limited time on reserve funds, then they reduce their activity. And then Congress. Congress remains open since legislative branch appropriations usually pass. And by the way, Congress gets paid during this process. Here's some of the economic and political effects. Shutdowns reduce GDP growth. By the way, the 2018 to 2019 shutdown, the Donald Trump shutdown in the first time, cost us $11 billion with $3 billion permanently lost. Federal workers and contractors, uncertainty and financial hardship ripple through the communities. Repeated shutdowns can damage U.S. credit outlooks, raising borrowing costs. And then shutdowns are used as leverage in budget negotiations, often leading to public blame toward one or both parties. Shutdowns only affect discretionary spending. Again, the 12 appropriations bills that we just went through. And then mandatory spending, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, debt interest continues regardless. So we've got history with these government shutdowns. 1981, from November the 23rd to the 24th, it was 2 days under President Reagan, a dispute over defense and domestic spending. October 3rd to the 5th, 1984, funding, this is all during Reagan, funding dispute over crime fighting measures. And then in 1986, 1 day, debt ceiling and foreign disagreements. These early shutdowns were short, 1 to 3 days. Bush Sr., 1990. October 5th to the 9th, 3 days. President George H.W. Bush and Congress clashed over deficit reduction and tax increases. 1995 to 1996, Clinton versus Gingrich, 2 shutdowns. November 14th to the 19th, 5 days, 1995, dispute over Medicare, education, and environmental spending. December 16th, 1995 to January 6th, 21 days. That was the longest shutdown at the time, driven by a standoff between President Clinton and Speaker Gingrich over balancing the budget and cutting social programs. Federal services, visas, passports, processing, and national parks all took a hit. 2013, the Affordable Care Act, October 1st to the 17th, 2013, 16 days. House Republicans demanded defunding or delaying the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. 850,000 federal workers were furloughed. It cost our economy $25 billion. And then Donald Trump, the longest shutdown in history, between December 22nd to 2018 to January 25th of 2019, 35 days, triggered by Trump's demand for $5.7 billion funding for a border wall. About 800,000 federal employees were either furloughed or working without pay. Major disruptions to the TSA, air travel, national parks, and agriculture. $12 billion permanently lost. So here we are again. All right. So what's going to happen? So Democrats have limited leverage in this case, right? So I think there are like two things, maybe more, but I was thinking about this. I think there's two things that they could potentially use as leverage. You could do what's called the continuing resolution, right? Or a clean CR would be a goal, meaning that we're going to fund the government at levels that we've been funding it at. So no additional cuts. That would be a clean CR. That's one option. That's one thing that they could potentially support. They could say, we want to, because there's cuts to the ACA that go into effect next year, the Obamacare. Cuts to the ACA is going to drive up everybody's costs across health insurance in general is going to go up. They could say, listen, we're going to back that up. I want you to put that back in, reverse those cuts. That might be leverage. They could say, we're not going to do anything and let the government shut down. I don't know what's going to happen. So this needs to go through the filibuster. It's likely going to pass in the House because of the majority, although who knows. And then it's got to go to the Senate. And it's going to need 60 votes. So Republicans are going to need, is it 7? Going to need 7 Democrats to vote for it. I can't see. I don't know. I don't know, because there's impact, right? There is impact. It's going to affect people, government employees, and then recipients of some of the programs covered by the appropriations. Quite frankly, I say shut it down, because Republicans are going to blame the Democrats for anything anyway. So shut it down. Okay? Just shut it down and let them own it. This is my issue that I have with the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. Why are they not out owning it now? Why are they not out owning it now, saying this is a Trump government shutdown? Trump is going to cause your airlines to be unsafe. Trump is going to cause and MAGA Republicans are going to cause your food to not be inspected, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's real-time effect. There's impact on people's lives. I get that. But leverage is leverage, because they're going to try to blame people anyway. So I say, let them fucking do it. Shut it down. Shut it down. Okay. And then the last little piece here is the rescissions piece. Rescissions are things that the president has the ability to do. And the issue that the Democrats, rightly so, are going to say, listen, if we fund this, the president can come over the top with the rescissions packages anyway. A rescissions package is a tool the president can use to propose canceling or rescinding budget authority that Congress has already had. It's a formal request under the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. President identifies specific funds in an appropriations law that they believe should not be spent because they are either wasteful in their mind, duplicative, or no longer needed. A rescission message is sent to Congress detailing which funds should be cut and why. These requests are bundled into what's called a rescissions package. When submitted, Congress has 45 legislative days to act on it. Congress must pass a bill approving the rescissions. It's not automatic, though, because both the House and the Senate must agree. If Congress does nothing, the funds must eventually be released and made available for obligation. So that's what happened the last time. That's how the big, bold, beautiful piece of crap bill got to the floor, because it went through rescission. So it's a mess. This is again, I'll back to the beginning. Congress's fucking job is to keep the government open. That is their number one job, to keep the government functioning. That's it. That is at the top of the list. Again, sweeping the floors, emptying the trash. Number one on the list for Congress, keep the government open, keep people funding. You're asking people in the government to work because they're identified as essential workers without pay. Okay? Without pay. Democratic messaging has got to be very clear, very crisp, and they need it. They need to push it right down the throat of MAGA Republicans, President Trump, and their voters, because you know full well what's going to happen is the spin machine from the right is going to attempt to blame this on Democrats. Republicans have to have Democratic votes to get this to pass. Period. It can't pass without them. So use the leverage. Use it. use the leverage. My opinion, shut it down. Force them to the negotiation table. Force them to. And then let them spin it however they want. And then he can say twice under Donald Trump, the government shut down, food inspections, air traffic control, airline safety, food and drug, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. We'll see. This is going to be interesting. This is politics. Again, they've got 10 working days to get it done. So we'll see. All right, we should talk about the jobs report too. Don't forget, friends, clapping, liking is loving, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Please, let's see if we can get our shares up. Let's see if we can hit 100K in the next few minutes. I appreciate y'all very, very much. And don't forget, we are crowdfunded. Want to support the channel? You can do so at Factsstillmatter. And again, it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. If you've been impacted, then my heart goes out to you. Okay. The jobs report, we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. The jobs report was just devastating. You know, the fact that we are losing jobs for the first time since, who was in office in 2020? Yeah. The manufacturing sector in particular, right? We're always going to see increases in healthcare, which you want a balanced economy, like you want growth in all sectors. And the only sector that in general, I know Biden never lost jobs, exactly. In fact, every single month of his presidency, we added jobs. So there's that. You want balance in the job market. You want every sector to be growing, right? And don't forget what the promise was regarding tariffs, that we're going to bring these manufacturing jobs back. Hang on one second. Sorry, guys. Hang on one second, guys. Okay. So again, balanced growth in the job sector, and we're losing jobs. We're losing jobs. The argument has always been that these tariffs will bring jobs back. So there's all kinds of little things that we should talk about, and there's all kinds of just pivoting and moving the goalposts. So I found some interesting clips from the president. We'll get into that. The funniest thing to me is that he wants people just to continue to believe that no matter what he tells you, it'll be fine. I'm gonna move the goalposts away from what I promised my voters, because he still thinks that no matter what he says, they'll believe it. So here's an example. This is an interesting response to the August job numbers.
President, we learned this morning that we've lost 78,000 manufacturing jobs this year.
That'd be 78,000 manufacturing jobs lost.
Explain.
Well, one thing we have is, we have the interest rates are too high. That was, a matter of the Fed. But the other thing is so many different elements aren't included yet. And one of the things we've learned, and we learned that the hard way, watching over the last few months, are the corrections that people have been making. They'll say you're losing jobs, and then they say, by the way, we have a correction a month later of, 100,000 jobs are missing. They actually had a correction once of 850,000 jobs. We're building, they've started building all of these factories and plants, including car factories. Car factories are coming back. We lost more than 50% of our car production over the years. And I think we're going to get all of it back. It's coming back in really rapidly. Really, we're building a lot of car plants. Indiana, places that you don't think of it so much, are taken, but also Detroit, lots of places it's coming in where I think we're going to get everything. We've lost it over a period of 40 years, and I think we're going to get it all back in a very short period of time. And big ones, big plants, incredible plants that were never going to come back. Without the tariffs, they wouldn't have come back. And I think without the election on November 5th, they wouldn't come back either. The election was very important.
Without the tariffs, It wouldn't be coming back. So the federal judiciary has just ruled that your tariffs are illegal, sir. So what's your answer then? And as a reminder, COVID saved his ass the first time. Let's be very clear, because we were heading towards a manufacturing recession then because of tariffs. We were losing manufacturing jobs then. The Biden administration passes numerous bipartisan pieces of legislation and added manufacturing jobs. So if Trump had just done nothing, if he had just won the election and gone and played golf, he could be taking credit for the economy. Instead, he's driving it in the shitter. From that same press conference, I thought this was really an interesting clip about how desperate he is to try to change, to try to pivot away from the reality. Where is it? I got to find this one because this is great. So now there's a new time limit. Hold on. Where is it? Do I have it? I think I do. Everybody keep tapping. Don't forget, we are crowdfunded. Appreciate you. Okay, here's another one.
We learned this morning that we've lost 78,000.
That's not the one I want.
She's 13.
Anyway, he's talking about how I got to find that sound because it speaks to the whole thing. It speaks to the fact that he says, "Well, now we're going to really see the job growth, not this year, but the year after." So here we are again, right? Here we are again. We're in the same situation that we always find ourselves in with this guy. I'm just going to continue to move the goalpost because I can't defend any of my fucking policies. It is crazy that his people are still going to believe it, although we know they're going to believe anything that he tells them. So how then do we address this? The problem is these things have human effect. Losing jobs. Instead, it's going to be, yeah, don't worry about it now. Yeah, we're losing jobs. But listen, MAGA, I don't want you to know, but my crypto made like $9 billion last week, so I'm good. Keep giving me money. So you're right. We lose these manufacturing jobs. We're not going to get them back. They're gone. Because we're going to talk about oil and gas in just a second. But here's another example. Okay. Think about this. Okay. We know in every sector, we've seen just about every sector, we've seen all kinds of increases in pricing, from vegetables to dried goods to sundry items to beef. This is your president, MAGA. This is your president.
Mr. President, the price of beef continues to rise and other items keep going up. Is there any way to address the cost of beef?
Yeah, once it kicks in, once our policies kick in,
when?
The price of beef will be going down.
It will?
Just like the price of eggs went down and the price of a lot of other grocery items went down.
What?
Beef will go down. It'll all go down. Energy has gone way down.
Has it?
The price of gasoline has gone really, I think you'll be hitting $2 very soon. And it was $4.50 a little while ago. So energy's gone way down. That brings everything else with it. But beef has gone, as you know, for other reasons. The price of beef has gone up a little bit. It'll be coming down.
So what was that? So when our policies go into effect? When? It's 8 months now. When our policies go into effect? And the bullshit line about energy, we're about to dunk on that, and it's going to be savage. So I want people to kind of go back in time a little bit to think about the first Trump administration, okay? And the OPEC plus deal, because that has lingering effect. And guess what OPEC just announced? OPEC just announced that they are going to increase their output by 137,000 barrels. Let me get the exact number here. Hang on one second. Let me make sure I have it correct. OPEC Plus has agreed to further raise oil production from October as its leader, Saudi Arabia, pushes to regain market share while slowing the pace of increases compared with previous months due to an anticipated weakening of global demand. OPEC Plus has been increasing production since April after years of cuts to support the oil market, but the Sunday decision to further boost output comes as a surprise amid a likely looming oil glut in the northern hemisphere's winter months. 8 members of OPEC Plus agreed on Sunday in an online meeting to raise production from October by 137,000 barrels per day. It said in a statement much lower than the monthly increases of about 555,000 that they had barrels per day for September and August, and 411,000 barrels per day in July and June. So what does that mean to you? From a consumer perspective, it's good news because your oil prices will drop. I mean, your gas prices will drop. It will. It will, because first of all, the winter blend is cheaper anyway. Gas price, people don't travel as much in the winter. Here's the problem. Just like we went through the first time under the Trump administration, that objective that he's talking about so that he can brag to his base because his base won't bother to look into the details, will just see the price at the pump. That's all they will see. They have no idea the damage that it did the first time to the domestic oil and gas industry, and then the lingering effects. So think of it this way. So I'll go back. I'll just go back and kind of give you the summary. When there's that additional push of oil production led by OPEC plus countries, with in particular Saudi Arabia, when they throw that much oil, that's going to obviously reduce the prices, right? Well, the problem is the domestic oil industry, our oil and gas industry, which a lot of people are Trump voters, a lot of people in an industry, the roughnecks out there, a lot of them in rural areas, a lot of them are Trump voters because they're already seeing thousands of jobs cut in the U.S. oil industry, and it will just continue again. Because once those small oil companies will close, they'll be consolidated by some of the big guys. The promise of drill, baby, drill ain't going to happen. So what happens in a year? When OPEC Plus reduces their production, gas prices go up. Same thing that happened the last time. So let's go through the exercise. All right. So I was curious. I looked back on what happened the first time. This is the current state of the U.S. oil and gas industry. Despite record-breaking U.S. oil and gas production, which we saw all during the Biden administration, employment in extraction has steadily declined by nearly 20% below pre-pandemic levels, due largely to automation, efficiency gains, and outsourcing, not just policy shifts. Companies have been trimming spending and jobs, and is expected to fall further as oversupply persists in 2025. Why do we have oversupply? Because OPEC Plus is going to pump more oil into the market. Because it's easy for them to extract. They don't have to go through the process that we do. That's just easy. ConocoPhillips. In recent news, the company plans to cut 20 to 25% of its global workforce, amounting to around 2,600 to 3,500 employees and contractors, to be completed by the end of 2026. This is in response to falling oil prices, rising input costs, including tariffs on steel, and pressure from OPEC production increases. Again, just announced. Chevron plans to lay off 15 to 20% of its staff, about 6,000 to 8,000 employees, as part of efficiency drives and shareholder returns. Got to keep the shareholders happy. That's rough. Lyndon Basil Refinery in Houston shutting down permanently, leading to layoffs of about 1,000 workers, reflecting a shift toward renewables and due to declining fossil fuel demand. Wow, you know what all those companies have in common? You know, big oil in our country, they are the largest investors in renewable energy. Green New Deal. Texas upstream layoffs, summer 2025, almost 3,000 upstream workers this summer alone, or 1.5% of the sector's workforce lost their jobs in June and July alone, with rig counts falling from 280 to 253. So, the job creator, manufacturing jobs, blue-collar jobs, laborers, directly, again, we've got the data. I know that won't matter to our friends on the right, but here we are once again. So the mirage that you're going to experience, because in the fall driving season, fall and winter blend, prices usually are lower. So you will see the prices drop, and you will cheer. And then you can ask your friends who work in the oil and gas industry, just like those farmers in Arkansas, who are now praying for socialism, for the government to bail them out again because of Trump economic policies. Somebody want to explain that? Somebody want to explain it? Somebody want to explain that to me? Here we are once again. You're going to see gas prices. And by the way, let's just check real quick. National gas prices currently, let's see, $3.26 currently. So it's up since February. And he thinks gas prices are going to go down to $2 a gallon. It could. It sure could. It sure could. As we're losing thousands of domestic jobs. Thousands. You guys okay with that? You okay with that? Should we just wait a couple years until things kick in? We told you. You've got Arkansas farmers losing their family farms. Sorry. Fuck around and find out. Sorry. We told you. Sorry. You're going to stand in line for your government bailout, your socialism? Sorry. Sorry. Told you so. Here we are again. Here we are again. Who are you going to blame this time? Because the drill baby drill actually happened under Joe Biden. I'm not crying, lab. That'd be you. You're the one who's crying. Drill baby drill happened under Joe Biden. We drilled more than we've ever had in our nation's history. That's it. I can't answer what. Yeah, exactly. Nebraska's going broke. See, again, this is what I'm talking about. You don't want to accept the fact. What lie have I told? Get in the box. What lie have I told? Tell me one. Go ahead. Tell me what lie I've told. Oh, wait. Didn't think so. So when in a couple months' time, you'll see your gas prices go down, because that always happens that time of the year. We can track it. We can see that the fall, winter driving season, especially in the Northeast, gas prices are lower, right? But do you not recognize that we lost well count under the Trump administration? We clawed some of it back under the Biden administration. So the drill baby drill, winter blend, thank you. So the drill baby drill ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. You guys are stuck again. We can literally draw a line to the OPEC Plus deal. Let's go back to it. Okay, we can draw the line. All right. OPEC Plus production hikes have contributed to lower global prices, squeezing U.S. producers who often require $65 a barrel to break even. So that's the magic number for U.S. domestic producers, $65 a barrel. These output increases, combined with Trump's steel tariffs, elevated input costs, further pressuring margins and contributing to layoffs. In April 2020, Trump reportedly threatened Saudi if OPEC didn't cut production, he would allow withdrawal of U.S. troops. The pressure paid off. OPEC Plus agreed to a historic production cut of 9.7 million barrels, roughly 10% of global output. This event was seen as a rare display of U.S. influence in stabilizing oil markets during the early COVID crash. Trump has now continued to push for $45 a barrel for oil, which is well below what domestic energy producers need, $65 to break even, right, with a slight profit. Here we are again. Analysts warn this may backfire as producers, especially U.S. frackers in Saudi Arabia, needing $90 per barrel for oil. They're reluctant or unable to raise supply quickly. So how would you like to, but Biden shut down what? How do you guys want to address this? How do you want to come to grips with it? Because it's the same thing that happened before, right? Think about it. How are you going to address this one? What's it going to look like? What's it going to look like? The pipeline? Really? The pipeline? Friends, you guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. Help our friends out. Do pipelines produce oil? No, they don't. And by the way, the Keystone XL pipeline, I can't even believe we're still talking about this, was shut down in July of 2020. Who was the president? Who was the president in July of 2020? This is the thing. This is why I'm almost kind of giddy about it, because we can throw this shit back in your face. You can sit there in denial all day long. Knock yourself out, because you will, because your administration will continue to lie to you, and you're not smart enough to look past it. But Hillary's emails, right, Fish? But Hillary's emails. So again, I've got this bookmark someplace. let's see. This story from the AP, this is dated July, let's see, what's the date on this? July 6, 2020. Friends, tell our friends in the chat who was president on July 6, 2020. So MAGA, listen, because the chat's going to help you out here because they have the smartest chat on TikTok. Who was the president of the United States on July 6, 2020? Yes, that would be Donald J. Trump, the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list predator, and apparently FBI informant. July 6, 2020. Billings, Montana, AP. The U.S. Supreme Court handed another setback to the Keystone XL oil sands pipeline from Canada on Monday by keeping in place a lower court ruling that blocked a key environmental permit for the project. Canadian company TC Energy needs the permit to continue building the long disputed pipeline across U.S. rivers and streams. Without it, the project that has been heavily promoted by Donald Trump faces more delay, just as work on it had finally begun this year following years of courtroom battles. So again, MAGA, the question for you is this. When, or not even when, let me ask a simpler question. No, it's a statement. It's not a question. You've been lied to. Again, most of you are unaware that the Keystone XL was actually shut down under the Trump administration. Joe Biden pulled the permit that was open because the Supreme Court ruled that you can't continue construction. So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. But here we are once again, friends. You're going to see artificially decreased prices because of the push for more oil into the market. Supply and demand. It's going to drive prices below the $65 a barrel. It's going to punish domestic oil producers. So it's going to make consumers happy because consumers will see, oh, you see that? Trump did that. He turned on the giant oil spigot, and now my oil and gas is 12 cents a gallon. Yeah, Trump. You going to that party tonight? No, I can't go to the party tonight because my friend who works in the oil and gas industry lost his job, lost his house, lost his car. I don't know why, but he's moving. Don't know what to tell you other than you guys have been just lied to again, over and over and over. Good morning, Ambush.
Is it hard doing this every day?
Oh, it's you again.
Is it hard to do this every day? Yeah, you ran scared last time and blocked me like a coward. All because you got your punk card pulled. You ran like a little baby with painted fingernails. As you sit there with that I'm an idiot look because I brought him back up and I thought I was smarter than everybody. But really, all you are is just pissing into the wind because all your efforts mean nothing. You've accomplished zero. Your party's accomplished zero. And all you are is up here because you can't go out and get anything real. So you sit here and cry on the internet. And you run like a coward when people back you into a corner, like a typical coward the Democrats are.
So that's MAGA's game now. Like, let's just go attack people because we can't defend anything that our president's doing. Let's just do that. Let's just attack everybody. Let's just attack everybody. Let's just do that. We can't defend it. We can't defend the fact that our guys incriminated and all this bullshit. Instead, I'm just gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna own that lib. I'm gonna tell him he amounts to nothing because my life sucks. I'm gonna tell him that he doesn't know shit because I don't know shit. I'm gonna project all my mediocrity onto him. By the way, everybody keep tapping, please. By the way, I happened to be in a live yesterday that I got invited into. And I couldn't, there's the line between people who are trolling and people who aren't. There are people in MAGA, I just want you to know, that think that executive orders supersede federal law. I just want people to know that, right? I know he's crying. He didn't want to engage with me. Why not? It's just wild to me. We've got more to cover, and we'll get into it. Good morning, VH. How are you today? Hello? VH, how are you? VH, are you there? I guess not. Okay. Anyway, so we can plan on that. We can watch our prices go up. We can watch people. Okay, this is Proud American. All right, good to know. I'm excited. Good morning, Proud American. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So, do you support Trump or do you not support Trump?
Oh, I don't support Trump. Do you?
I do.
Implement a law.
By deporting the people that came in the country illegally.
Okay, so how are they illegal?
If you come across the border illegally, not go to the U.S. Border ports, that's against the law. It's a bill that was put in effect in 1956, the Immigration Nationality Act.
But what's the law? What's the violation?
It's hold on, actually, I have it for you. It's USCD code section 132 or USCD code 8 section 1325.
Right, but what is the violation? Is it a civil violation or is it criminal?
It's actually it's a federal law.
That's not what I asked you. Is it a civil violation or is it criminal?
It's a criminal law.
Actually, it's not. It's a civil violation.
No, actually, it's a misdemeanor. It's federal law.
No. I understand it's federal. I understand. But it's a civil violation, just like a speeding ticket.
No, it's not. It's actually a misdemeanor.
Exactly. A misdemeanor.
Okay,
exactly. Like
you
a
are
speeding
aware.
ticket.
I want to explain something to you, right? I want
Proud
you to
American,
understand.
take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, but don't be like ambush and just rage quit, okay? It is a civil infraction comparable to a speeding ticket, okay? So that is do you disagree with that? Because you yourself said it's a misdemeanor.
Okay, but I want you to understand something. Even if it's a misdemeanor, it's still against the law. That.
Right, so is speeding.
Okay, but you are aware, right, that it's still breaking.
So is speeding, though.
Can you please let me finish without interrupting me, please? Like, can I finish my sentence?
I want you to acknowledge this.
It's considered speeding, yes. Okay, can I finish my damn sentence?
Okay. Sure, here we go. Take a deep breath. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
You are aware that it's still against the law for them to do it. And you guys, as Democrats, support illegal immigrants in our country.
How do you know that? How do you know that we support them? Have you asked the question?
Because every time I go on a live and I talk about USCD code 8 section 1325, it's a law.
You're talking to me now, right? You're talking to me now. Okay.
So do you support illegal immigrants?
Can you please just take a deep breath and calm down a little bit?
I'm actually not angry. I'm actually laughing at you.
Try to be different than other people who join my live. Okay. It's a misdemeanor. Okay, it's a misdemeanor, just like a speeding ticket. So here's a question for you: if you were speeding and you didn't pay your speeding ticket, do you think it's reasonable for law enforcement to knock down your door and drag you away in handcuffs?
No, and let me elaborate why.
Well, no. You said no. Okay, so it's a misdemeanor. So then again, it's a misdemeanor, civil infraction. Just like entering the country illegally, also a misdemeanor.
But the reason why...
Wait. Let me ask the question first. What's the justification? What is the justification for knocking down someone's door for committing a civil infraction, crossing the border illegally? What's the difference? Tell me.
Because these people that are committing the minor infraction are not the ones that committed minor infractions. He's not deporting all of the illegal immigrants. What he is doing, and if you actually, can I please finish without you interrupting? Thank you. What he is actually doing is, and you can look it up on the Department of Justice, is that these people, unalived people, these people burn people alive.
You made a claim. Wait a minute. You made a claim. And you just said we can find it on the Department of Justice. You made a claim that said all the people that have been deported, all of them are committing crimes, including unaliving people. Please don't say things like that because you know it's not true.
I do actually.
You know it's not true. No, then provide your source.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Tell you what, I'll drop you down, and then you can provide your source. This will be fun. That's the argument, friends. Okay, it is a civil infraction to enter the country illegally, as they say. It's a civil infraction. In our justice system, it's no different than a speeding ticket. So ask yourself the question. And you notice that he kind of got caught a little bit like, shit, I got to find an argument. My argument is, well, all these people that are reporting, every single one of them have committed these crimes. Then prove it. That's fine. Go ahead. Just go ahead and prove it. Knock yourself out. I appreciate that. Okay. Please don't forget about subscribing, guys. And again, we are crowdfunded. If you appreciate this, then I'll thank you in advance. Chelsea, are you there? Chelsea? So what's going to happen, remember, because words matter. His claim was all these people have done all these horrible things. And he'll come back and he'll find a couple of examples of people who have a criminal record that have been deported. And I tell you what, I don't care about an individual. I care about their rights. I'm not defending Mr. Abrego Garcia, for example. I'm defending his rights because that's what we're all about here. We should be defending people's rights. So good luck finding that information. I appreciate it, though. Here we go. I gave him a chance.
So I have from the Department of Homeland Security. I'll show you the link.
Okay.
Right here.
You have what? Okay,
I have the
but
thing.
You have what? You have, what's the thing?
It's what, right here it says, ICE deported heinous criminal illegal aliens, including gang members, that word, and drug traffickers.
Okay, what's this from?
Department of Homeland Security.
Okay, so from
Wait.
DHS.
Actually, before you say something, you're going against an actual government website that is proving to be reliable, and I want you to understand that you're going to go against a government-made website that gives out government information, and you're going to laugh and contradict what I'm saying. I want you to think about that.
I know. I'll answer your question for you. Okay. So let me ask you a question. So when under the Biden administration, when the government websites produced information about Donald Trump's crimes, did you believe it?
What crimes did he commit?
Well, January 6th, for example, all the information that they found.
Actually, let me talk about some of January 6th. There's actually a video all over TikTok where there's a person. Hold on.
Answer my question. No. We're going to talk about what the claim that you made. The claim that you made was this is a government website and we are supposed to trust the government website. That's what you said. Is that not what you said?
Okay, but I want to explain.
Answer my question. Wait.
About January 6th.
Wait a second. Just wait. Okay? Take a deep breath. The claim that you made that we're supposed to trust the government's website. So my argument to you then is, if that's the case, then did you trust government website information when it came out under the Biden administration? Yes or no?
About January 6th? No, because actually watch
about any of it. Okay, see what I'm talking about? This is why your argument failed. This is why you just failed miserably.
My argument
is really embarrassing for you.
You didn't watch the videos of January 6th where people are actually asking the cops.
It's so embarrassing for you. It is so embarrassing for you, my guy.
It's so embarrassing for you that you're supporting illegal immigrants that are committing heinous crimes. And you're sitting there, you Democrats support that.
The claim that you made,
I'm telling you the truth, you don't like it, buddy. You guys support so many illegal immigrants that have committed so many crimes, and you say it's their right? It's not their right.
It's okay.
If you were to don't fucking act like you're caressing me, you fucking pussy ass bitch.
Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Bye-bye. Wow, they're so angry. Holy shit. They are so angry. And you know what? I'm going to mock them mercilessly because it's so fun. And you know what? The amount of shit that I've had to take from those guys, including the death threats, the threats against my family, I'm going to enjoy every single second of it. Every single second. Maybe we'll do one or two more, then we'll get back to the show. Skamisa, how are you today?
Oh, sorry. That was a mistake. I was tapping.
No problem. No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And I think we have one more request. That was wild. You walk into the point. Gotta trust the government. What about this? Well, can't trust that. That's government. Okay.
What's up, little bitch? What's up? What's up,
nice.
little bitch?
Oh my God. They are so angry. Wow. Anyway, so that was a comic relief for this morning. But let's get back into our topics of the day, right? Again, friends, here's the argument. Let's keep this in mind. Crossing the border illegally is a civil infraction, similar to a speeding ticket. Similar to a speeding ticket. Our friend, before he got all emotional and needed a caressing, said, well, they're all of them are being deported. And then he pulls up a DHS article from the DHS attempting to justify their violation of civil rights for people. And then I said, okay, if we're supposed to trust government websites and government reports, then can we trust the... No, can't do that. See, that's how desperate they are. And it's kind of fun to watch the crash. Yeah, I'm sure he probably believed the MS-13 wasn't photoshopped. Okay, so let's get into this story a little bit. So in case you don't know, there was a moment of people were started questioning about, what did Mike Johnson say and when did he say it and why did he say it? And is he really talking about what I think he's talked about? So let's go back in time a little bit. This was just last week. I think this was on Friday that he said this. After these brave women who were victims of this guy and Ghislaine Maxwell and potentially this guy too went public and said, this is what happened. This is not a hoax. So this is what Mike Johnson had to say in case you don't know.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harm.
What?
It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
What? So Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, goes public and says that Donald Trump is an FBI informant. It's interesting, though, because over the weekend, he had to walk that back. This is reporting from the Washington Post. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Sunday backed off his claim that President Trump was an FBI informant in the case of Jeffrey Epstein. While Trump has said that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, his member-only club in Florida, he has also recently called the latest demands for the release of more information on the Epstein case a Democratic hoax that never ends. So, Mike, for those of us with a brain who are not simping for the cult leader, two things in this case can't be true at the same time. It can't be Donald Trump informed on him and it be a hoax. So I've already seen the people on the right spinning this like crazy, saying, see that? Mike Johnson just said it. Trump's an informant. Told you. Yeah, but didn't he also say it was a Democratic hoax? Yeah, but that's a hoax. What's a hoax? The fact that he said it's a Democratic hoax? Yeah. This is how wrapped up in their own lies that they are. This is how stuck they are. Because you've got the Speaker of the House, and the article goes on to, it talks a little bit more because there was a statement that was made by the lawyers representing the victims. I'm sorry, the survivors of J.E. and Ghislaine Maxwell. Last week, Johnson told reporters on Capitol Hill that Trump cares deeply about the crimes Epstein committed and said that Trump was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. On Sunday, his office released a statement modifying the claim. Quote, the speaker is reiterating what the victim's attorney said, which is that Donald Trump, who kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, was the only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein for being a disgusting child predator. The only one? You mean other than the dozens of women, girls who were threatened? He was the only one? Even that statement alone blows up the entire it's a hoax narrative. Here's the statement again. The speaker is reiterating what the victim's attorney said, which is that Donald Trump, who kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, was the only one more than a decade ago willing to help prosecutors expose Epstein for being a disgusting child predator. That statement right there ends the entire hoax argument. Game, set, match. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Like, what? It continues. Trump and E were one-time close friends What a falling out, particularly after a fight between the two in 2004 over buying an oceanfront property in Palm Beach, which Trump went on to win. I'll play some sound on that for you guys in just a second. Democrats and a small number of Republicans are pushing for the passage of legislation, I have an update on that for you too, by the way, called the E-Files Transparency Act that would compel the Trump administration to release more documents about Epstein and his sex trafficking operation. About a dozen of Epstein's accusers gave emotional testimony last week outside the U.S. Capitol about the abuse they suffered from Epstein and his jailed associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. During the event, Brad Edwards, the attorney who represents many of the victims, told reporters that Trump has done, quote, an about-face on the Epstein case since 2009. Edwards said that when he spoke to Trump in 2009, Trump was friendly to the victim's plight and did not think it was a hoax and was trying to help. Quote, it now seems like all of a sudden somebody is in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping he'll come back to where he was in 2009, be on the side of the victims, and stand with us. Edwards on Wednesday did not say whether Trump cooperated with the investigation in 2009, but he did note that Trump helped his effort against Epstein at the time. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. Edwards' office didn't respond Sunday to a request for comment. The White House on Sunday insisted in a statement that Trump, quote, has always been committed to justice and transparency for these victims, unquote. Quote, that's why the Trump administration is releasing thousands of pages of documents and complying with oversight requests, said White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson, referring to the inquiry being conducted by the House Oversight Committee. Jackson alleged that Democrats ignored E's victims for years and are now only interested in them as a way to attack President Trump. This is just, I know people like Ambush who don't have a brain in their head could never see past what we're seeing here. Here we are, right? Here we are. The argument has always been, well, not always, not always, but the statements that Trump makes, well, let's just play some sound. It's just easier to do it that way. Here we go. So think about what we just learned, right? So Mike Johnson claims that he was an FBI informant. Comes out yesterday, redacts the statement, changes it, recants, manipulates the story to say, well, yeah, we're just reiterating on what the attorney said. The attorney said, listen, we weren't looking into you. We weren't doing that. We weren't doing that at all. So if that were the case, if he was an FBI informant or helping the FBI in their investigation, then it couldn't possibly be a hoax. Do you understand? MAGA, you guys, you got that? It couldn't possibly be a hoax. So I don't know how to help you through that. It's either a hoax and he wasn't an FBI informant, or he's an FBI informant, which would mean it's not a hoax. So you're kind of stuck. Well, this is what he had to say when asked a question about it.
Mr. President, right now there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. Right. It reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. So then I remember that famous Oval Office interview that he did with George Stephanopoulos years ago. The first time, and part of why he got some of the reporting connected to that had to do a lot with George Stephanopoulos saying that he was convicted of grape and not sexual assault, but whatever. So I'm going to find that sound for you, and I'm going to play that because that was very telling to me. See if I still have it here. I think I do. Yeah, here you go. So this is, again, the statement that Mike Johnson made, right? That Donald Trump was an informant. That president told him he was an FBI informant, okay? So this is, this goes back to 2019 during the first Trump administration. And I want you to listen to what Trump said. George Stephanopoulos is asking him questions, and I'll be right back, and here you go.
Comes out.
Should he have gone to the FBI when he got that email?
Okay, let's put yourself in a position. You're a congressman. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you what,
you do.
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. Comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you what,
you do.
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever.
So that's wild, right? Okay. So the easiest way to clear this up, the absolute easiest way to clear this up would be to release the files. Which brings us then to the discharge petition. Every single Democrat has now signed it. We need 218 signatures. So we need 2 more. So there's 212 Democrats, 4 Republicans that have signed it. We need 2 more. You didn't hear it? You guys didn't hear that? It cut out? Let me play it again.
Report comes out, and they didn't even say, they hardly even talked about it.
Should he have gone to the FBI when he got that email?
Okay, let's put yourself in a position. You're a congressman. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think.
Coming from
I'll tell you what,
you do.
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. In my whole life, you don't call the FBI. You throw somebody out of your office. You do.
You don't call the FBI. So then you're not an informant, right? So you didn't contact the FBI. So this is the problem, right? This is the problem. When you lie your way through all of it, the lies come back to catch you. They come back to bite you. So let's talk about where some of the controversy that's connected to Trump and Epstein. Specifically because there's been numerous reasons as to why Trump claimed that their friendship ended. One claim was that he didn't like the fact that Epstein was inappropriate. Let me just change this goal here. Hang on a second, guys. Thank you for helping us meet the gifting goal. Let's do the hat and a mustache. Like that one. Yeehaw. Thank you, guys. I may want to restart. Why? Did something happen? Let me just check it with my team. We good, guys? Okay. Okay. Let me address that. Hang on a second. I don't think I'm going to restart. We're good. We'll muddle through. I am AI. Yes. If I were to design myself for AI, I would make myself a lot younger. I'd give myself a better back. Speaking of blueprints, here you go. I'll take this opportunity. In the mod in our Discord, there's a channel. It is called, let me get the Blueprint of a Better Man. What we're working on trying to do is to create what a better man would look like. Okay, so think about it in terms of, not people that you know, not people that you're involved in a romantic relationship with or in. What would that look like? Okay, so if you feel like you want to provide content, you can get and join our Discord, look for the channel called Blueprint of a Better Man, and then just ask yourself some of the questions. Okay, so there you go. Right, the background, whatever. So there's that. All right, so let's think this through a second. Right, let's think this through. The scenarios that Trump has given us publicly that we know of. Right. The reason their friendship ended because they were besties. Epstein's gone on record saying, I was Donald's closest friend. Trump has called him a terrific guy. We have young girls in common, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. Okay. He said one of the reasons he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago was because he said something inappropriate about one of the members' children. Another reason he said he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago was because he stole his employees. That employee that he stole was Virginia Giuffre. And then another reason he said that the relationship ended was because of a real estate deal gone bad. Michael Wolff and Craig Unger are probably the two journalists and authors who probably know the most because they've written books about him. Craig Unger wrote the book American Compromise that I've talked about a lot. He was interviewed recently, specifically as it relates to this whole situation with where this fracturing of the relationship came from. And I'm going to give you a little hint. We can trace a lot of this back to Russia. Yes. So I'm going to play the sound for you. This is an interview that Craig Unger did recently. I'll muddle through this. Here you go.
Read reports that Donald Trump was involved in literally millions or maybe even billions of dollars worth of transactions, wire transfers with Jeffrey Epstein. Are those accurate?
Yes. Trump, I think at one point I had the figure of $1.5 billion of money laundering went through Trump real estate. And the thing with real estate regulations is they're very, very lax. So it's very easy to launder money through real estate. All you need to do is put together a limited liability company, which is very, very simple. It only costs maybe a couple $100. Anyone can do it. And you call it the XYZ Corporation and make it anonymous. And then you make an all cash transaction. So nothing has to go through the banks. If that happens, and it happened a lot with Donald Trump, in effect, any party can launder money through real estate. And as early as 1984, I was able to document a man named David Bogadin, who is linked to the Russian mafia, came into Trump Tower. Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan had just opened the previous year, and Bogadin put down $6 million in cash and said he'd take 5 condos. That, by the way, that's the equivalent of about $30 million today. So it's as simple as that to launder money. And the Russian mafia and affiliate, it's important to understand also that the Russian mafia is really an arm of Russian intelligence. They're not at odds with it in the way the American mafia was with the FBI. They are part of Russian intelligence. So to me, this is just an enormously grave breach of national security.
So yeah, there's that. I wanted to change the background because I think part of what we're seeing now is the end of MAGA. We can see it from some of our guests this morning. We're seeing all these things connected to it, and they have no way out. So let's keep the pressure on. That's our mission. So that's Craig Unger talking about, here you go. We've got all these, from Russia with Lev. We last couple of weeks ago, we broke down all these various connections, financial ties, fronts in Trump property, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric going on record saying we get all the money that we need from Russia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we've got Michael Wolff talking about the same thing. Although his breakdown, by the way, there's a new word that is circulating and I love it. It's called patriot, Patridiot, patriot. A patriot is a person who waves a flag louder than they protect children from P3DOs. A patriot is a person who confuses blind allegiance with patriotism. A patriot is an individual so devoted to performative freedom that they'll let their kids die of preventable diseases, cheer on insurrection, and call it love of country. See also anti-vaxxer, Facebook University graduate, insurrectionist, thoughts and prayers enthusiast. Patriot. Okay. So I mentioned before Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff is another one of the preeminent experts on Donald Trump because he spent so much time with him. He's a biographer. He's written numerous books about Trump and in Trump's world. Let me just find the sound because I think it's really telling. Again, just when you look inside his mind, so to speak, probably a lot of room in there, but just the way in which he sort of paints the picture about how and why these relationships happened, what's the history behind the relationship between Trump and Epstein. Let me just see if I can find it. Hang on a second. Is this the one? Hold on, I got it right here, I think. Stand by. And then we're going to talk about the Department of War and some of the bullshit statements that the president has made. It's just whatever. It doesn't matter because we're going to talk about it because they won't. I have to find this because it goes sequentially with what I wanted to talk about today. I'll find it. Don't worry. Oh, by the way, the president who can end wars, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the largest strikes yet in the Russian illegal invasion of Ukraine happened over the weekend. More missiles launched into Kyiv from the Russian military. That's nice. Do I have it still? Oh, you guys know that Trump ended the Biden rule about that airlines pay passengers for delays, cancellations, or lost bags? Yep. So the Biden administration put that in place, protecting consumers. Why would you do that other than trying to harm people? Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? No, it doesn't. All right, I'm going to give it one more second here if I see if I can find this. I must have deleted it. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Hang in there with me. Where is it? God damn it. Because here you go. Okay. So this is, again, one of the claims that's been made by the Trump administration, by Trump in particular, for the reasons that the relationship ended. And a lot of it has to do with, in his mind, a lot of it had to do with this financial transactions. So we heard Craig Unger talk about how this may be a front for moving money. So I'll say it again. The Trump administration has ended a program that the Biden administration put in place protecting consumers when airlines lose your bag or cancel flights, right? So that became money available back to consumers. The Trump administration said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. we're not going to do that. We're not going to punish the airlines. Instead, consumers are fucked." Nice. Okay, so this is Michael Wolff, who's written numerous books on Trump and Epstein, and this is his opinion. And yes, it's opinion, and his story about the relationship, specifically as it relates to the financial transactions of a property in Florida.
Explanation for why this friendship ended is as follows. In 2004, Epstein believed himself to be the high bidder on a piece of real estate in Palm Beach, a house. $36 million was his bid. He took his friend Trump around to see the house to advise him on how to move the swimming pool. Trump thereupon went around Epstein's back and bid $40 million for the house and got the property. Epstein, who was well acquainted, in fact, deeply involved with Trump's scattered finances, understood that he didn't have $40 million to pay for this house. Now, if that was the case, it was someone else's $40 million. At the time, Epstein believed this to be the $40 million of a Russian oligarch by the name of Rybolet. Less than 2 years later, this same house that Trump had bought for $40 million was sold for $95 million. And it was, in fact, sold to Mr. Rybolet. This is all a red flag of money laundering. And what Epstein did, and he was furious about losing this house. Epstein, after the sale of this house, after Trump went around his back, got this house, Epstein began to threaten him. He began to threaten him with lawsuits. He began to threaten him with going to the press and saying that Trump was a front man for a money laundering deal. Ooh. Trump panics at this point, and Epstein believed, and he believed to his dying day, that it was Trump who went to the police, Trump who was fully acquainted with what was going on at Epstein's house, fully acquainted for many years. Trump went to the police, and Epstein said, on, and an investigation began, and all of Epstein's legal problems for the next 15 years began to unfold. This story about this piece of real estate and their falling out was first published in June 2019. It's published actually in my book, Siege, the second book I'd written about the Trump White House. Epstein had recounted this story to me. I put it in this book. Epstein at that moment was in Paris. He read the book. He called me with some alarm, and he said he was afraid that he might have said too much. 3 weeks later, he returned to the United States from Paris and was promptly arrested on the tarmac of Teterboro Airport in New Jersey when his plane landed.
A few things that stood out to me from that, right? About there's always been, suspicion of money laundering. Again, you buy the house for $40 million. 2 years later, you sell it to a Russian guy for twice what you paid for it. That's textbook money laundering. But in Michael Wolff's recount, the only reason that Trump went to the feds, if he did, and again, telling George Stephanopoulos that I've never gone to the feds, I've never done this in my life. In his recount, it was because of the financial transactions, not because of what was happening, not because of the girls that were being assaulted, not because of the girls that were being raped and groomed and trafficked. No. It was because of a real estate deal. So either way, all of this just makes it significantly worse. Just release the files. They look really, really bad. They look really, really bad. And they just can't run away from it. They just can't. Just release the files. Good morning, Eldridge. How are you today? Eldridge, are you there?
Oh, sorry. That was a mistake.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Appreciate you. Again, you want to clear the whole thing up? And this is where MAGA is frustrated. And this is why I think it's the end. Because to clear all this up, to clear it all up, just release it. So remember the lie that Mike Johnson and the Oversight Committee is telling you. They're telling you that we're being transparent. Actually, they're not being transparent. Because the bulk of the documents that have been released to the Oversight Committee, first of all, they're not searchable. They're like these individual PDF pages. They're not searchable. What the discharge petition is like, give us everything. Searchable, reasons why we can't see it, people that are redacted, let's protect the survivors' names, the victims' names, let's protect all of that. Let's be sure we protect all of that. But everything else, there needs to be justification why. Now, we know the missing minute has suddenly shown up. Pam Bondi told us that the minute was missing. It's always missing. That was a lie because we now have it, apparently. It's in the documentation. So what is it? Again, to clear the whole thing up, just release it. This is why I believe that this is the end of MAGA. The economy is cratering, losing jobs, unemployment is up, inflation is going up, losing in court. He's losing his tariff war. United States military pushing back. National Guard troops being like, what the fuck? We're not getting paid. They're picking up trash. This is why I think MAGA this is the end. We'll see. I mean, we will see, but that is just my opinion. We'll see. I got more information for you. Purple, how are you today?
Good. Oh, it's me, Steve. It's Heather.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm sorry. I thought I only changed my... I don't know. TikTok is confusing sometimes. I didn't mean to change my display name.
That's okay.
I don't know why I did that.
It's okay. What's on your mind today, friend?
I was just going to say to all of the people who are saying that the women at the press conference were paid, quote unquote, actors.
Correct.
You know what's a really great way to find out if they were paid actors would be to release the files.
Correct. What a great idea. I'd support that.
Yeah. It just, no matter which way you spin it, you gotta release them.
Correct. So again, this is an opportunity, right? So we're always talking about looking for common ground. This is an opportunity. Everybody on the left says, we don't give a shit who's on it. Release everything. So then the argument that the right has that we're attempting to protect Democrats and liberals, I'm not protecting anybody. I don't give a fuck who's on it. If you've committed what I consider the worst of the worst crimes, then I want to put your ass under the jail. Why is it? What is the issue? Why are people on the right so afraid? I know why. Because they know their boys are implicated in this shit. They know it, and they don't want to admit it.
1,000%.
Otherwise, what's the reason? There's no other reason.
Right.
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 Yeah. Yep. Thank you, friend. I appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
See you later. Bye. She's right, of course. Right? She's right. Simple. It's a simple prospect. Don't forget, we've got the discharge petition. It's House Res 581. It has now been signed by every Democrat. and 4 Republicans, which means we need 2 more. We get to 218, the vote comes to the floor. The text, we put it in the Discord. You can find it in the general chat. The portion that I think is really, really interesting is what's considered prohibited grounds for withholding. This is in the language of the text. Embarrassment, again, prohibited grounds for withholding. No record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of any of the following: embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including 2, any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. MAGA, why are you afraid of that? Why? Why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of that? Isn't that what you've been talking about? Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you want? And then that leads us to what can only be described as a bit more, I guess, controversy. So most of you know by now that there was although you may not, there was some video that was released, captured on a hidden camera of a DOJ official. His name is Joseph Schnitt. It's spelled Schnitt. And I'll just play it for you, and then we can talk about the impact. Okay, it's a little bit hard to hear, but I'll try to navigate for you. So this is Joseph Schnitt, undercover journalist from Project Veritas. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Here you go.
Those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files.
I think they visited that Maxwell person.
Yeah.
And also involved.
Got transferred to a minimum security prison too recently, which is against BOP policy because she's a convicted sex offender. They're offering her something to keep her mouth shut.
And what do you do for work again?
I work for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
Been there like 23 years. I'm an analyst. I'll be acting deputy chief of our office for a few months starting next week. I work closely with all the federal law enforcement agencies, and the U.S. attorney's offices, the prosecutors and stuff. The thing is, it's interesting because I do deal with so many of the agencies, like the Bureau of Prisons, the Marshal Service, the FBI, U.S. attorney's offices.
Okay, so apparently they were on a date. Now, could he have been flexing? I don't know, but he claims that he is the DOJ deputy chief. His name is Joseph Schnitt. And you heard it. He said, oh yeah, what they're working on is redacting every Republican's name and only including the names of Democrats or liberals. Okay? So there's that. So the DOJ has responded. The Department of Justice acting deputy chief was caught on a hidden camera saying that the government will redact every Republican from the Epstein client list. The O'Keefe Media Group, which again, that's Project Veritas, the O'Keefe Media Group, a far-right media organization, secretly recorded acting deputy Joseph Schnitt's comments and published them, which you just heard, in a move that represents just how large a rift the Epstein case is created between President Trump's administration and his MAGA base. Quote, they'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people, he told the reporter who was undercover during the encounter, according to the video. In the video, he also claimed AG Pam Bondi is a yes person, adding that she wants whatever Trump wants. In a statement addressed to the DOJ's acting director, Schnitt said that he had no idea he was being recorded after he met the O'Keefe reporter who said he was pretending to be an au pair on Hinge. Schnitt said that the comments to the reporter were based on what he had learned in the media and not from his work in the FBI. Had I a clue, quote, had I a clue, the first date would have ended immediately and there never would have been a second one, Schnitt wrote. That's an interesting defense. James O'Keefe, the founder of O'Keefe Media Group, is also behind the far-right Project Veritas, which is known for recording undercover videos of Democrats. Schnitt did not immediately respond to Axios' request for comment. Schnitt also made comments in the video about the DOJ's relationship with associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who was recently moved to a lower security prison following her interview with a Justice Department official. Maxwell's transfer, quote, is against Bureau of Prisons policy because she's a convicted schmex offender. The DOJ is offering her something to keep her mouth shut, he said. Maxwell's transfer was controversial and potentially against Bureau of Prison policy. Schmex offenders must be in at least a low-level security prison unless they receive a waiver, and she was not moved to a minimum security one, and there was no waiver. Schnitt said in his letter that he has, quote, no knowledge of the circumstances surrounding Miss Maxwell other than what is reported in the news. The Justice Department directed Axios to its statement on X where it denounced the comments made in O'Keefe's video. Quote, the comments in this video have absolutely zero bearing with reality and reflect a total lack of knowledge of the DOJ's review process, the department said. The DOJ told Axios this statement refers to, quote, all comments in the video, but would not confirm whether they were referring to both O'Keefe and to Schnitt. I mean, so this guy who is, again, don't forget, the DOJ did not distance himself from him, right? They did not. They're just trying to say, well, that's not, he wouldn't know that. Okay. I've got more to, Kayla requested. I've got more to the story in just a moment. More to the story. Hi, Kayla. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Sorry, my music was playing, and it was, for some reason, anytime I join, it plays. I'm wondering if you think this sounds whistleblower-ish? Or is that just my internal justice and my good heart wanting it to be that? What do you think?
Like the guy, Mr. Schnitt, being the whistleblower?
Yeah. Not like, almost like him wanting, like him setting himself up to be caught on a hot mic. In a way.
Well, that's an interesting theory. The person apparently, apparently it was a date. They can be seen eating. So I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, to me, I think it was probably a bit of a flex, trying to show that he's on the inside, maybe trying to impress his date.
Right.
The way in which he answered the questions would be like, hey, I'm on the inside. I kind of know this shit. Like, I know what they're doing. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't think so, though. I just think he was bragging. Yeah, exactly. I think he's just bragging.
Yeah. It's just interesting, given it's very ironic that you said that he is with a company that secretly typically records Democrats. So I'm just like, that's very strange. So
yeah, exactly.
I was curious on what your thoughts were, but I'm sure we'll learn more as the time comes. So.
Or will we, Kayla? Kayla, you know how we can learn a lot?
Yeah.
How?
By waiting.
And releasing the files, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Kayla. I appreciate you. Talk to you later. So in case you guys forgot, Project Veritas, like, where have you heard that name before? Well, let me give you a little bit of history. Because, again, the O'Keefe Media Syndicate has always been trying to get the goods on Democrats, which is why when they make that statement that this is a clear rift within MAGA, this is an example. Because MAGA, who's been running on, going after the deep state for years, right? For years, we're gonna blow the cover off. We're gonna blow the cover off the global cabal. We're gonna blow the cover off the deep state. All these kinds of things. So they've been known for this for a long time, right? They've been known for this for a long time. Project Veritas. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back in time a little bit. Amy Harris and Robert Kurlander were charged in Southern District of New York, SDNY, with conspiracy to commit interstate transportation of stolen property. Do you know what that stolen property was? The stolen property was Ashley Biden's diary. Initially, they tried to sell that to the Trump administration, who refused. Instead, they sold it to who? Project Veritas. And that led to a whole bunch of other shit about people losing their job, people being indicted, pleading out, all these kinds of things. So Project Veritas has no love lost for the left. They will do everything they can to destroy the left. So now they send out an operative. They send a woman out to go on a date or whatever it was, a meetup, who knows, secretly recording this guy. And he's bragging, he's flexing, he's whistleblowing. I don't know. I don't know, but let's just listen to the sound again, just because I think it's important. Here we go.
But those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files.
Okay, she says, well, so those files do exist. He's like, oh yeah, thousands and thousands of them.
They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files.
I think they visited that Maxwell person.
Yeah.
And also involved.
Got transferred to a minimum security prison too recently, which is against BOP policy because she's a convicted sex offender. They're offering her something to keep her on show.
And what do you do for work again?
I work for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
Been there like 23 years. I'm an analyst. I'll be acting deputy chief of our office for a few months starting next week. I work closely with like all the federal law enforcement agencies and the U.S. attorney's offices, the prosecutors and stuff. The thing is, it's interesting because I do deal with so many of the agencies, like the Bureau of Prisons, the Marshal Service, the FBI, U.S. attorney's offices.
So there's that. So we can draw conclusions. Wild man, I just sent you an invite because you said, why the heck didn't Biden release the files? We can talk about that because it's a fair question. We can talk about it. We can also say that since J.E. went to jail in 2019 during the Trump administration, why didn't they release the files? So there's a clear explanation as to why the Biden administration didn't, because the cases were still pending. Ghislaine Maxwell was still in court. In fact, the information that we have now, the bulk of the information that we have now that the DOJ has submitted to the House Oversight Committee claiming it's new, was released during the Biden administration. So I know it's hard to keep up. That's why we're here, to try to navigate through this shit. I just think this story is just, we talk about this in terms of the biggest presidential scandal in history. I don't think there's one that even comes close at this point, considering everything. Now we're talking about Russian money. Now we're talking about, oligarchs using Donald Trump as a front to money launder. That's nothing new. I've been studying that shit forever. we know that, right? We allege that, right? We've got a lot of evidence that kind of points to the fact that this might not be necessarily on the up and up. Properties in Manhattan and elsewhere, where people purchased these penthouse suites and large blocks of rooms and never took occupancy. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric going public saying we get all the money that we need from Russia, all these covert meetings, promises of Trump Tower Moscow, Michael Cohen having conversations with Russian people, the Russian government, Paul Manafort, all these kinds of things. So to me, this really comes down to a couple basic truths, right? Because in MAGA world, because the entire perception of innocence is connected to whatever Trump tells his base. So all of this is a hoax. All of this is a witch hunt. None of it's true. It's all lawfare. It's rigged courts. It's rigged judges. It's everything. All of it. So nothing is true. So now we have them saying, see that? Told you. Mike Johnson said it himself, that Donald Trump's the informant. We have Mike Johnson now walking that back, saying, yeah, well, not really. We have Donald Trump on the record saying, I've never contacted the FBI. We've got Michael Wolff saying, listen, he might have turned state's evidence on Epstein, but it's got nothing to do with his crimes against kids. It's all about real estate. So which story would you like to believe, MAGA? Which one? Which one would you like to believe? You can pick, because there's like 50 different versions. You can literally pick whatever it is that you want. And I'm just curious as to which one you're going to choose. I think he's trying to impress her too. I think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to flex. I think he's trying to impress her. The easiest way for us to get through this is for 2 more Republicans, just 2, to sign the discharge petition, which forces Mike Johnson's hand. I think it's worthwhile just to kind of revisit it again, just because to me the language is very, very clear. So this is House Res 581, co-sponsored by Thomas Massey, Republican, Ro Khanna, Democrat. At this point, every single Democrat has signed it. 4 Republicans. I think I'm right about that, mods, because we got Dan Goldman's signature, and I think that was the last one. Okay, is this the schedule? Okay, yeah, again, 250, all 212 Democrats have signed it. 4 Republicans need 2. This is the language. in House Res 581. This act may be cited as the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Not later than 30 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all classified records, all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the DOJ, including the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office that relate to 1. JE, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial matters, Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs or travel records, including but not limited to manifests, itineraries, pilot records, and customs or immigration documentation for any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle owned, operated, or used by JE or any related entity. Number 4, individuals, including government officials named or referenced in connection with E's criminal activities, civil settlements, immunity, or plea agreements, or investigatory proceedings. Number 5, entities, corporate, nonprofit, academic, or governmental with known or alleged ties to E, trafficking, and or financial networks. That's a big one because now we have reporting about 2 people who were named, names were named, 2 billionaires who were wiring money back and forth to JE, who got that information too. So here we go. Internal, any immunity deals, non-prosecution agreements, plea bargains, or sealed settlements involving E or any of his associates. Number 7, internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate E or his associates. Number 8, all communications, memoranda, directives, logs, or metadata concerning the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, recordings, or electronic data related to Epstein, his associates, his detention or death, or any investigative files. Number 9, documentation of E's detention or death, including incident reports, witness interviews, medical examiner files, autopsy records, and written records detailing the circumstances and cause of his passing. B, prohibited grounds for withholdings. I shared this before, but it's important to talk about it again. No record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of any of the following. 1, embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including 2, any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. C, permitted withholdings. The Attorney General may withhold or redact the segregable portions of records that A, contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. B, depicts or contains incidents of child sexual abuse materials defined as CSAM under 18 U.S. Code 2256, and then prohibited also under 18 U.S. Code 2252 through 225A. C, would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution, provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. D, depicts any images of unaliving, physical abuse, or injury or of any person, or contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by an EO to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. 2, all redactions must be accompanied, this is a big one, all redactions must be accompanied by a written justification published in the Federal Register, again, on the record, and submitted to Congress. 3, to the extent that any covered information would otherwise be redacted or withheld as classified information under this action, the Attorney General shall declassify that classified information to the maximum extent possible. If the AG makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects national security of the U.S., including methods or sources related to national security, the AG shall, not may, shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified pieces of information. All decisions to classify any covered information after July 1st shall be published in the Federal Register, submitted to Congress, including the date of classification, the identity of the classifying authority, and unclassified summary of the justification. That is what we should want. That is everything. There's no way the AG can get around it. They've got to justify what's been redacted. They've got to justify something that they're going to claim is classified. Report's got to be submitted. We're not going to worry about whose reputation might be harmed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why is it so incredibly hard for Republicans to get on board with this? Why? Why? I want to know. I want to know. There is absolutely no justifiable reason other than y'all know he's on it. You all know. You all know. No, they don't have 218 votes yet. They still need 2 Republicans. Y'all know. You all know why. Y'all know. We're going to shift gears just a little bit. Hello, my friend. How are you today?
Good morning, and nice to see your face once again. It's been so long.
It's been so long. We got to spend some time together last week in the great state of Maine. Yes, I did have to drive through New Hampshire. I made it out alive. I got to hang out with Obi, our wife, and some of Obi's friends, and we had a grand old time eating lots of lobster. I have a couple questions for you, sir, if you don't mind answering. You ready?
Sure, hit me.
Okay, so we went to Freeport. Those of you who don't know, Freeport, Maine is there's a lot of outlet stores there. Its claim to fame is that it's the global headquarters of LL Bean. So, Obi, would you say that because LL Bean is a global brand that it has a lot of buying power?
100%.
Okay, so that means that they could make decisions to buy products from anywhere in the world, correct?
Yes, and do.
They could, and do, as we saw firsthand. So I recall a particular moment when we were in one of the outlet stores, not connected to the main store. We'll get into the main store and your moment of weakness. We'll talk about that in just a second. But when we were in a particular outlet store, there was a display, as you're often seeing in retail locations, of products. One product that they had featured on the shelf was a bottle of organic maple syrup. Obi, again, with LL Bean having the global power to buy product from anywhere in the world, LL Bean borders the country of Canada. Obi, where was that maple syrup from?
From a state that does not exist and that I'm not able to utter aloud for fear of the secret Vermont police. The state that shall not be named coming to get me.
Thank you. I just would like that known on the record. Again, with all the things that we know about LL Bean, they could literally buy it from anywhere in the world, and they stock their shelves with organic maple syrup, produced, bottled in Maine. I'm in Vermont. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, doing good. You just really quick before we pivot to where I know we're going to pivot. You asked the question as to why MAGA men are weak cowards. There's your answer. That's it. They're just weak cowards.
Yeah,
there's no other way to describe them, because in a world in which Trump has so little influence outside of the rabid base that is literally crumbling beneath him, it doesn't matter if he's going to pick another candidate to run against you. He can never run again and won't run again. And if we're being quite honest, his clock is ticking. So he's running out of virtual and physical time simultaneously. So
Correct.
That means that they are cowards and they are weak, not
Correct.
to mention immoral, right? So that's why. That's it, right? Other than that, as to what one guest said, if you want to know anything about the victims that stood up at a press conference or showed up, 1, release the files. 2, allow all of those victims to come to a courtroom to where they're actually under oath and have them attest on a court record as to what happened. Because once that happens, it's permanent, and only the judge gets to determine what is redacted. Not the
correct.
AG.
I want to clarify something. Eric Swalwell has not yet signed the discharge petition. His mother just passed away. He has stated publicly that as soon as he's back in D.C., he will be signing it. So that'll be the final Democrat. So just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Mods.
So 214.
212 would be the amount of Democrats. So 212 plus the 4 Republicans would be 216. You need 218. So are there two courageous? Isn't it weird to say it? It's weird to say courageous because the statement from the White House has said that would be a hostile act against the administration if a Republican signs a discharge petition to have all the information on global schmex trafficking and abuse of girls released. That apparently is a hostile act. That's crazy. This should be the easiest vote a Republican in Congress has ever had to make, without question.
I suspect there are probably 2 to 5 that are mulling not running again. So I think it'll be easy to find them. It's just Massey's going to have to really work to figure out who they are and just ask them, what do you have to lose? Certainly not your reputation. So
that's a good point.
I think
thank
it's
you,
going to
Jolie.
happen.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Heather. I kind of think so too. Well, let's just back up a second here. Let's back up a second, right? The churning and the burning that they had gotten from their bases, because there's not a swing district Republican that can go back to their district right now. The reason that they're not is because how are they going to answer this question? Because people in their own party, in their own base, want the information released. They want it to go public as well. They want it all out there. So even the hardcore MAGA people who won their districts by 20, 25 points are getting hammered, getting eviscerated when they go back home. How is a swing district Republican expected to go back and face their voters now? Simple question. Excuse me, have you signed it yet? No, you haven't. Why not? Don't you want the information? Who are you protecting? How are you going to answer that question? It should be 435 to 0. There should absolutely be no reason. They are hiding. They are lying to you, MAGA. People like Ambush doesn't give a shit about kids because Republican, we care more about your children than you guys do. We care more about crime prevention and law and order than you guys do. We care about all of it more than you do. You don't give a shit. He's not an FBI informant. Stop with your nonsense. He's not. It's just here we are. It should be the easiest vote they have ever had to cast, bar none.
And let me just say this about the informant thing. If he is, dear Pam, I lie for a living and do what Trump tells me to do, Bondi, release that form that has to be signed for being a cooperative witness. Release the form. I want to see it.
Interesting.
Because it exists. It has to exist, right? There's a legal process to being a cooperative witness or a whistleblower because there are actual laws that govern that. So, dear Pam, unless you want to continually lie, because now you've been caught in lies, right? Save yourself, because you should be going to prison at the end of this administration for what you've done. How about this? We won't prosecute you if you go ahead and tell the truth about that and then release everything unredacted. But if you don't, be prepared to face your consequences. And guess
everything
what?
unredacted. Everything unredacted. Well, everything unredacted with the exception of names connected to survivors and evidence connected to them.
Right.
Everything else. Yep.
All that's redacted anyway, because that's what the judges did. So that's why I'm not saying it. Just for people in the audience, if you haven't been following, the victims' names are always redacted. The judges continued that policy, which is also one reason why the Biden administration didn't release everything, is the judges were like, not right now. And so Biden was like, okay, let us know when you're ready, right? Yep, it takes a very long time to go through court records to redact stuff and to come up with the reasons why it's redacted. So,
because
cool
the information the information that we have now that's being, again, the conservatives in government, the MAGA Republicans, are attempting to tell their base that the information that they've released, the 34,000 pages, is new. It's not new. There's very few bits of there's very few bits of information in there that was not released the first time. We have that information because it came out under, say it with me, friends, the Biden administration. So we have everything that's been made available to us publicly already. What we don't have is all these things. MAGA, can you accept the fact that Pam Bondi literally lied to your face about the missing minute? She told you the minute was missing on every single tape, every single night. It's a bona fide lie because now they suddenly have found the missing minute.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So let's shift gears a little bit. So just real quickly. So when it had been a long time since you'd been to the LL Bean factory store in Freeport. This was a really interesting moment that Obi and I kind of experienced together. They have a hunting and fishing building dedicated to hunting and fishing. Hundreds of firearms, rifles and shotguns, because from the sporting side. So we were witnessing that, and then Obi, you had an experience about how easy it would have been to walk out of said store inside of an hour. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. First, let me put up this disclaimer. I'm a lifelong hunter and firearms owner. I also have several different licenses, federally and state. So this is just my opinion on what happened as a consumer experience story. Does not represent or reflect any companies I currently own or represent. So the first strange thing is when you walk in there, unlike here in the great state of California, all of the rifles and shotguns are out in the open, kind of like racks where you would get a pool cue if you're playing billiards at a bar, just lying around, right?
Behind glass on racks that you can pick up. Right. The whole people get that. Yeah. So we've got the visual. Yeah. So I'm talking about your experience at the counter with the gentleman that you were talking about.
So I go up and I asked to look at one particular thing, and then I said, if I wanted to purchase this, what is the process? Showed my ID and the other credentials, and he said, we can have you out of here in an hour. And then I said, what's the wait time? He's like, no, we will have you out of here in an hour and you have to take it with you. No wait time.
Correct.
So as long as I could pass a basic background check as a non-Maine resident, I can walk into that store, purchase what I want, and walk out in an hour, which is completely fucking bizarre.
Crazy. So then the conversation kind of continued. So I think that was a gobsmack moment for you. So I took the opportunity to ask the gentleman behind the counter, a separate agent behind the counter, who was obviously into the whole culture. I said, sir, would you support a federal background check? He's like, well, we already had that. I said, no, federally, that it's the same in every single state. From Maine to Alaska, every single state, every retailer, every seller of firearms is subjected to the exact same universal background check. I said, would you support that? His answer was, it wouldn't hurt. So there you go. So people who are literally in the system itself understand that it should be uniform across the country. I thought it was just an amazing moment. And again, I'm a firearms owner myself. I grew up hunting. I don't do it anymore. But it was one of those moments, right? It was really one of those moments that first of all, imagine coming from, and you live in the U.S. Imagine coming from another country, because LL Bean gets foreign visitors all the time. And you walk into this room that has hundreds of firearms, hundreds of them. Literally, you could put your hands on all of them, including pint-sized versions in pink, by the way.
Yeah.
Pint-sized versions.
That was a weird sight.
Yeah. So then imagine walking in and seeing that for the first time, and then you're like, oh, yeah, I totally get why America has this problem. So I'm not sure. Again, maybe that gentleman will not take any of that information, but he seemed very, very, very receptive to the idea. Like, I don't think he was first of all, I don't think he was under the impression that we didn't have something federally, because he lives in a state where they've got the background checks. I think it's 34, 35 states where whatever the number is don't have it. So here you go. Here's an opportunity. Somebody who's in the industry, somebody who's probably been around firearms his entire life said, yeah, it wouldn't hurt. We should totally do that. Wouldn't hurt. Here you go. It's wild. It was a wild moment. It was a wild moment.
Yeah. For the record, this was completely organic. This was not planned, right?
No,
we were not Project Veritasing anything. Ooh, there you go. There's a new term. We were just having a conversation. Most importantly, I think what was learned here was that when reasonable persons are asked reasonable questions, they use this thing called critical thinking to come up with reasonable answers.
Correct. Yep. You present logic. You ask probing questions, which is why I want to go on the road. Somebody wants to sponsor me, hook me up with a Sprinter van. Give me enough. A dog food company wants to sponsor me. I'll take Kipper with me. I just want to drive around the country and have conversations like I had with that person. That's what I want to do. So there are sugar mama out there or a sugar daddy out there that wants to fund my journey. Facts across the country. Let's go. Anyway, it was a great experience all around, and thank you for your generosity. It was amazing to get together with people. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, our pleasure, and we're looking forward to being able to do more of that when we permanently relocate from California to Maine.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like I said, we've got options. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for jumping in.
Love you, man. Peace.
Love you too, man. See you later. Bye. It was a wild experience. It was a wild experience. It really was. I mean, and for those of you who live in other parts of the country, whether it's Casella or Bass Pro or whatever it might be, you've had the same experience. But here it is. All right, shifting gears a little bit. I didn't get much of a chance to talk about the RFK testimony from last week, but he is a threat to public health, and I've been again. Thank you, President Trump, for saving America. What? That's quite a flex, Dakota. You really want to go on the record? Let's pin that for a second. Thank you, President Trump, for saving America. Saving America from what, Dakota? From what? Wow, that's wild. That's really. I have to ask the question now. I'm really curious. What are we talking about saving America from? Saving America for whom? I don't know. Anyway. So the situation with RFK, he's a threat to public health, and that's going to permeate across the board. And I know a lot of people are cheering this on, right? People are cheering on that they've got Maha in charge. He's not qualified to be in that position. He's not. He is blowing up public trust. It's already been fractured post-COVID because selfish people in our country don't give a fuck about their society. You live in a country, there's a social contract. Unwritten, but it's a social contract. We've got to look out for each other. And then the situation in Florida is an example of the impact. So in case you hadn't heard, the Surgeon General has come out recently and said, we're doing away with vaccine mandates in public schools or across the country. People don't understand the harm of that. See, the problem with the selfish thinking on the right is you literally only think about yourself. You never think about the outcome. Say, for example, it is your choice now. So people will choose to get their kids vaccinated. Before it wasn't. I fully support it. So now people are going to choose not to. You're exposed to something. That kid goes to a grocery store, or they go and visit their grandparents at the old folks' home, or whatever. That's how it drops. Just takes one. So the Surgeon General, this is a wild interview. The Surgeon General was on with Jake Tapper over the weekend. Just listen to this, and then you can ask yourselves, or tell yourselves, or remind yourselves that we are in trouble.
Before you made this decision to try to lift vaccine mandates for Florida, which include obviously public schools, did your department do any data analysis? Did you do any data projection of how many new cases of these diseases there will be in Florida once you remove vaccine mandates? That's
a fair question. Of course they did, obviously, right? Of course they did some research to do some data analysis to see what this would look like, right?
Absolutely. So absolutely not.
Wait, what? Absolutely not? Whoa, okay.
It's not you mentioned whooping cough there. So there's this conflation of the science and sort of what is the right and wrong thing to do. So scientifically, you mentioned whooping cough. So that's an example. This is part of the issue with informed consent. That's an example of a vaccine that is ineffective. The data show that it's ineffective at preventing transmission. So sort of mandates with that really don't have anything to do with the notion of transmission. And then in terms of, analysis, well, ultimately, this is an issue very clearly of parents' rights. So do I need to analyze whether it's appropriate for parents to be able to decide what goes into their children's bodies? I don't need to do an analysis on that.
Wow. So you're trying to lift the vaccine mandate in Florida, and your department and you did not even do a projection as to how this could impact public health. So you have not prepared hospitals in the Florida counties most at risk with the best treatments for any outbreaks of measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, polio, and you have not looked into how many kids might now get these preventable diseases? That's what you're saying?
No, that's what you said. What I'm saying is that it's an issue of right and wrong in terms of whether parents should be able to control, have ultimate authority over what happens to their kids' bodies. Wow. And in terms of outbreaks, we do have outbreaks in Florida, just like every state, and we manage those. So there are no new special procedures that need to be made.
Right, but you're talking about doing something that no other state has done.
Them just as always.
But you're talking about doing something that no other state in the United States has done and removing the vaccine mandate for public schools. You're making a decision that no other Surgeon General in the United States has done. It goes against what's recommended by every top medical organization.
Yeah. You heard it. No, we didn't do any research. We're just going to do this because, God said so. It's our bodies. Yeah, my body, my choice, except for women. Good point. Right. But abortion, right? But can't do that. I just don't think people ever consider the other side. You cheer on the rhetoric. You think somebody is in your corner, but you forget about the public health impact because you don't give a fuck. Because you red hat wearers are the most pathetically selfish people I've ever met in my life. You'll cheer on suffering. You don't care. Right, Dakota? Good try. You're a coward. You won't jump in the box. So stop chirping. Make it make sense. Good morning, David. How are you today?
Fine.
Have something to say?
The reason why I support Trump is because of his conservative opinion on AB.
What's his conservative opinion on AB?
The fact that he made it so it went to state level.
So you're fine with people in our country having different rights depending on where they live?
I think that...
Just answer the question. You're okay with women in our country being segregated and their rights are violated depending on where they live?
With this certain situation, ontologically, yes.
Okay, so then you're fine with freedoms for me but not for thee.
Yes, in this certain ontological situation, yes.
Ontological. So, and then regarding denying or lifting vaccine mandates in the state of Florida, you support that too?
Lifting vaccine mandates. What's that?
You don't know what that is?
What's that?
Basically, the way that the public health system is supposed to work, that children are required to enter public schools. Children are required to have certain vaccines: whooping cough, pertussis, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, things like that. And the Surgeon General. Hold on. The Surgeon General in Florida just said, "No, we're gonna remove that mandate." You okay with that?
I am not fine with that, and plus.
That's a Trump administration. Now that's Trump. That's policy. Hold on, David. That's Trump administration policy. That's coming from Robert F. Kennedy, who was a Trump appointee.
That's a red herring fallacy. So.
No, it's absolutely. What's a red herring fallacy? Tell me what a red herring fallacy is.
You literally just mentioned something that has nothing to do with the abortion debate.
No, but you talked about you support Donald Trump's policy regarding abortion. So I'm saying, okay, then, do you support Donald Trump's policy regarding vaccine mandates?
We are talking about abortion. You just mentioned something.
No, you're talking about that, not me. You're talking about it. Why don't you just admit that you're a pathetic coward?
Or you literally just ontologically agreed with...
Bye. You don't even know what ontologically means, dumbass. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? And you know what, friends? Keep the fucking pressure on. Call their bullshit out. Keep the pressure on. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. They are the most selfish, pathetic, fucking cowardice dumbasses I've ever met in my life. They don't care. Every single time presented with an opportunity to address public health, they'll just cheer on They're bullshit. That's it. You're not aware of it. Oh, I didn't know. You support it? You don't even know what it means. You think it's a win. I don't want the government telling me what to do. You're okay with the government telling women what to do, though, aren't you? It's wild. Can you just, at some point, just be honest with yourself? Can we just take a moment and pause and address the fineness of our friend Hector?
God damn it.
He's fine. How's it going, buddy?
It's too early to be blushing. How's it going? I call me toxic. I just love it when you can so clearly tell they just found out new words, and it's just so obvious. Like, this kid's probably, 20? Most likely
Maybe.
20.
I didn't ask. I probably should have, but like, whatever.
And now you want to come up here and be a Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk looking. Like, just stop. Please. Go read a book. Guys, just go read a book.
Go read a cereal box. I'd be happy with that at this point. Just read.
You'd be better off trying to describe those words on a panel than ontologically because you heard it one time. Just stop it. Just stop it. Goodness.
Exactly. What's on your mind other than that today, my friend?
Other than that, I saw your post earlier. That's what brought me into the live with the Law and Order music playing over Epstein and Trump. I just thought that was hilarious. I still haven't even heard that. That was Mike Johnson, right? Who allegedly made that claim.
No, he did. No mind allegedly. He made it, and then he walked it back yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. Mind you, I've already seen several posts from Trump supporters going, see? So I wonder how they look like with the eggs on their face now.
Yeah, Hector, let's play the logic experiment, right? Let's play that. So they're thinking, wow, here it is. You know, Trump's the hero. He's the FBI informant, which would then mean that the lies he's been telling about the hoax, it couldn't be possible. It couldn't be a hoax. And he is an FBI informant, right? It's impossible.
But
they don't work together.
You don't understand. They had to say it was a hoax because it was classified information. You can't just go out saying that that's true because then that just ruins the whole case.
Can we give hearts in the chat for Dia? Because this is the best comment of the day. Mike Johnson is the Congress cock blocker. That is so fucking true.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
The best. That's the best.
WD.
Oh my gosh. WD. But I mean, here's where we are, man. Like everything we talked about. I know you've read through the discharge petition and what's involved in that. And that thing is like, that's what you want. That's all we want. Like, Hector, you don't give a fuck who's on the list, right? You want everybody involved. Anybody that's connected to any of this bullshit, throw them under the fucking jail. I don't care. Don't care who it is.
I've said this time and time again. I personally believe as much as Trump is on there, Bill is on there. Personally, like I just feel like there's enough there.
Yeah.
Drag him to hell.
Don't care.
I do not care.
Exactly.
We are 3 signatures away. I cannot stress this enough. We are 3 signatures away from forcing a vote. So actually, this is a great time to talk about this. Guys, please call your representatives. Ooh, where's my other phone? I have a list here of specifically a couple of women who are trying to call on the Republican congresswomen to vote on behalf of it, because now with the release that we got on Tuesday, we have a bunch of Republicans now walking back, signing the petition because they're like, oh, we already released it, when it's literally the exact same thing we've been getting. So anyone can contact me for that information. I do have it here. Just more so women trying to pull on heartstrings of women to protect children, because if anything, although I would argue Republican women are a different species, if anything, we do have maybe more of a leeway with them than we would have with the men. But yeah, guys, just think about that. We are 3 votes away, or 3 signatures away, from getting a force of a vote on the Epstein files. And Republicans can't
It'll
even
be 2. It'll be 2 because Eric Swalwell's mom passed away at her funeral. I think he's due back in Washington either today or tomorrow. He'll sign it then. So that will be all Democrats. So then we're down to 2.
Okay.
We need 2 Republicans.
Two people, two Republicans away.
Correct.
If we can't get two Republicans to try to protect children and expose predators, that should tell you everything you need to know about the Republican Party, if nothing else beforehand already did.
We did this little breakdown last week. I think there are 31 Republican women in Congress, in the House. So if we use the math of crimes against women, so I think it's 1 in 4 women have either been raped and or attempted rape. So 1 in 4, right? So then 25%. So 25% of 31 is what, 8 roughly? That'd be 8. So then we can assume then, based on the numbers, that 8 Republican women in Congress have either been assaulted or there was an attempt assault. 3 women so far have signed it, which that'd be Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, which means there are 5 other Republican women likely in Congress that were assaulted, and yet they don't want to sign this to expose people. That's wild. Let's just let maths guide us.
Absolute yikes. Absolute yikes. But on that note, guys, you already know what I'm about to do next. If you don't support this beautiful man here with this great cut, wearing the gray as no other man I've seen wear gray before, you're a bigot. I don't know what else to tell you, okay? So just continue to do all the good things, the things that TikTok needs to keep these live goings, the taps, the shares, the heart me's, all that good stuff. And then I know you see that live goal up there as well, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. What you're getting here, CNN can't tell you, Fox can't tell you, no one will tell you. So we absolutely have to support independent media out here, not on the party lines and partisan politics, just information for the betterment of the human race, of the American people. So do all those good things, y'all. Greatly appreciate you. You can drop me down. Love you, brother.
I appreciate you, bud. Thanks for your help yesterday. I'll be back in touch with that group. I appreciate you, man. Take care.
Absolutely.
Later. All right, bye. Fucking love Hector. Again, we all know he's fine. So send him some love because it's true. Okay, I've got Unit 20. I'll bring up Unit 20. Good morning, Unit 20. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon.
How you doing? What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. I just got a couple things, like about the last guy you was talking to, not the Trump supporting guy who just can't get an answer straight worth nothing. My thing with them is when people are asking y'all questions, just answer the question. Stop diverting off course or trying to send somebody somewhere else. Just answer the question. And that's one thing I notice amongst all MAGAs. When liberal people or regular people ask them questions, they like to keep diverting off to some other wonderland. Like, I ask you, is Trump a pedophile? You talking about, oh, Obama did this or Joe Biden did this. They ain't even in office no more. They long gone.
Let's be careful with that. The P word, just say predator
Yeah, I'm
or
sorry.
P3. Yeah, just TikTok. It's all good, man. It's just the TikTok stuff. It's sentiment.
But it goes back to my saying, you can't hold your own person accountable. Like Democrats, they will hold their people accountable. We need to see that through history. They hold their people accountable. Something they do wrong, they gonna get them out of there or they gonna get rid of them. But when it comes to the Republican Party, they don't do that. They just let it, okay, he did it, it's okay, it's cool with us. Same way, like I was trying to tell people, yeah, we holding Trump accountable, but we also need to hold the Republican Party, the senators, and all of them accountable. Because them the ones that's letting him get away with murder.
I totally agree. I mean, at this point, it's really, we probably should start shifting our focus away from him because we know what he is, but it's the people that are enabling him, right? It's his voters.
Exactly.
It's the people in Congress. They're the ones, which is why members of Congress don't want to face their voters, which is why they have to cheat in the midterms because they can't win. They have to cheat. That's why they want to eliminate elections. That's why they want to say that mail-in ballots are corrupt because they can't win. They're lying to their base because they know that they can't win if this was a straight up policy election. You're right. They're the ones that need to be held accountable, and we have to shame them every day.
What's so crazy is you're looking at trying to release the Epstein files. Only one that's really speaking out, and it really crazy. It's really boggling my brain. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is up there asking for the files release after all she did. And she asking for the file. That means something in that file is very serious. If the attorney general threw it away like it was trash, then it's something in that file that is very serious and we the people need to know.
Correct. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I appreciate you jumping in today with us, Unit. You're absolutely right. This is why we're doing this every day, but thank you for your support for this, and you're absolutely right. We have to keep the pressure on. Thanks for being here today, friend.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
You too.
See you later. He's right. I mean, again, I think the argument now for us is to kind of shift gears away from him because he's just diminishing before our eyes. It's the people that are enabling him. It's the people like the Stephen Millers of the world. Because again, when Democrats take power again, I want him indicted. I want Tom Homan indicted. I want Kristi Noem indicted. I want them investigated and indicted for their crimes. So if they want to use the power of the government and their misinformation, disinformation, their propaganda, then to fight back, then fight back. They want to fight dirty, we fight dirtier. Do respect Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. Fuck that. When they go low, we go lower. Get in the mud. Get dirty. Bloody your knuckles. I'm done with this bullshit. I'm just so done with it. No more. This is what people on the left have been clamoring for. Literally say, I'm going to investigate all of you. You're all going to be subpoenaed. You're going to be dragged before Congress. Seriously. This is why this particular election is so incredibly important, because they know it too. They know it too. And then let them deny congressional subpoenas, because you've got limitations there. Then you hand it on over to the FBI. Then you introduce articles of impeachment to impeach Pam Bondi, to impeach Kash Patel, to impeach Dan Bongino. This is what they want. Exactly. Gloves are off. A. Breyers, you're right. Dems have been weak. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. I want to see it. I want it to happen. Let's go. Get it done.
Hello. Good evening.
Good morning, Whistle. How are you today?
My apologies. Okay. I'm okay. I hope I'm okay. I'm living on a different time zone, and I'm observing in America. Okay.
It's okay.
I just like to. Okay. I just like to give some information here, or at least some story of some recent history. I don't know if the name Ferdinand Marcos Sr. rings a bell to you.
Where is this going, sir?
Okay. I'll probably tell you the story that they have been corrupt in the 70s and 80s, and they have accumulated wealth and properties around New York. Okay, via his wife, which is named Imelda, which is a controversial figure. If it rings a bell to you. Okay.
Sure. Where are you going with this story, sir? Whistle, hang on 1 second. Hang on. Where are you going with this story, please? Can we just get to the point?
Okay. So after they have the couple have fallen down, the government has forced.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just can't. And when you're asked to get to the point, and then you go right back to where you were, that doesn't help the conversation. So if you'd like, you can just clarify your thoughts and say, I want to talk about this, and this is what it means, and what do you think? So thank you. Appreciate that. We all have a lot to say, and I respect that, but you just got to get to the point, okay? Appreciate you. Good morning, Emmy. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
This is just kind of jumping back to Florida with the vaccine mandates. A thought that I had on that is I love asking about, AB in response to that, obviously, right? Because it's such a good, like you guys aren't thinking about that. But just another one, too, are they going to hold that same energy for parents who want to put their trans children on puberty blockers? Because their whole thing is it's about the parents making the decision on what goes into their kids' bodies. Are you going to keep up that same energy? I doubt it. Right?
I doubt it too. It's a really good point. We can use that example across all kinds of public health arenas, right, Emmy? Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a really good point. See, and I'm glad you said that, because on the surface, the people who are part of the Maha movement, led by RFK, they're going to be cheering this on, but they don't think it through. So what they will attempt to do now is to try to legislate that power of parental choice away from parents.
Absolutely. Right? Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Again, this is why I think the MAGA world is crumbling. I appreciate you jumping in today, Emmy. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You too. See you later. Yeah. So just another example of why I believe that this is the end of MAGA, because you can't keep contradicting yourself, right? You tell lie to cover a lie. Then you tell another lie to go back to cover the first lie. Then you forgot about details that were in the second lie. Think about the times when you were a kid, because I never lied to my parents, not at all. Think about the time when you were in high school, like, and you were going to break curfew, right? You might have called one of your friends to say, "Hey, can you cover for me?" And then you leave out a little bit of information, right? And then that friend calls another friend to say, "Hey, can you cover for me?" And then it becomes telephone, right? Everybody's going around, and your parents are like, "Wait a minute, I thought that they were at your house." Well, I thought that they were at your house. This is kind of what's happening. This is what it feels like. Everybody's like, "Well, you lied about this when you lied about that." Let's think about what we know, okay? Let's think about what we know. What we know is there is a boatload of information that exists in the hands of the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Benino have all lied about it. They've lied about it. Pam Bondi in particular lied about it. The president has accused everybody but the people involved. Well, no, he's blamed everyone except the people that are involved. Have you noticed that during that amazing act of bravery at the consolidation of all the survivors who spoke on the Capitol steps, as the intimidation from the White House with B-2 bombers and fighter jets flying overhead, and then the president at the same time said, "It's a Democratic hoax"? Imagine that. I want people to think about it from the humanitarian perspective for just a second. These women who were girls at the time telling their stories. What are you doing, dog? Sorry. These women telling their stories. Simultaneously, you've got the president of the United States who is connected to this thing, whether MAGA wants to believe it or not, telling their story, and while he is saying it's a hoax. Exactly. They were children at the times. It's a hoax. And people on the right now are attempting to say that these women who were girls when it happened are paid operatives. Paid operatives. Like, that's how desperate and pathetic the Christian right is. Making these claims that you care about kids. You don't give a fuck. You don't care about any of it. You care about you hate brown and black people. You hate women. You hate members of marginalized communities. Full stop. And you will do anything that supports that hatred. And you think that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem are your warriors against woke, are your warriors against attacking marginalized communities. So you will sell your fucking souls to support it. I'll remind you, 47% of Republicans surveyed in a poll conducted by Ledger, who has a relationship with Pew Research, 47% surveyed said they would still support Donald Trump even if he was incriminated in this case. That's got to tell you everything. For you people to think you're on the correct side of history, oh no, you're wrong. You're wrong. And as soon as what happens is going to happen, you will run from it. You will distance yourself as quick as possible. You'll go back into your dark little alleyways and your parlor chat groups and drop in the N slur and every other slur in your secrets because you don't want to be public again, because you'll be shamed. You'll be shamed. What is this here that I'm looking at? U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit has upheld E. Jean Carroll's $88.3 million defamation verdict against Trump, deriding her for accusations of SA in a 70-page unanimous per curiam ruling. Another loss, MAGA. Another one. Here we are again. Another one. Guess what it involved? Sexual crimes, assault. And of course, that jury was rigged. And I'm sure this appellate court was rigged. And it's all fake. There is an opportunity. There's an opportunity for a lot of you. There's many opportunities, in fact, for a lot of you to just finally say, this is the end. Because otherwise, it just shows that you don't care about kids. What's this? What am I looking at? Kennedy to link Tylenol use in pregnancy to autism. Okay. Kennedy says he's linking Tylenol use in pregnancy to autism. Let's talk about that for a second. If I was the Tylenol maker, which is Kenvue, I would be suing his fucking ass for every dollar he's ever had. Because Tylenol is the brand name. Acetaminophen is the actual pain reliever. Because you can buy generic acetaminophen. You can buy all kinds of acetaminophen. Tylenol is just the brand name. Kennedy to link Tylenol use in pregnancy to autism. Is this the end of MAGA? It abso-fucking-lutely is. It abso-fucking-lutely is. Why is it so difficult? Why? I'm not even going to answer the question because I know. All right, I want a few more things I wanted to kind of bring up here because I got a little bit more sound to play for you guys. I played that one. Well, here you go. So this is, speaking of RFK, this was him a couple years ago. And this is why these conversations are so incredibly important. Okay? Because we know he lied, flat out lied during his congressional testimony last week.
Over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the
Okay, he said, I never said that. You said no, there's no vaccine that's safe and effective. I never said that.
clip. Please play the clip.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Okay. Okay. Well, how can you just sit there publicly and say it? You fucking lie. Every single chance you get, you lie. Every single chance you get. He's the first one that I would impeach, quite frankly, because of public health, because of the dangers of public health. So I'm going to play a little bit more sound for you. This has to do with the Department of War. I need a little bit of a break. I'll be right back. I'll play this for you guys because this. We'll talk about this on the other side because of what he said about war fighters.
Very well stated, and really it has to do with winning. We should have won every. We really chose to be very politically correct or wokey, and we just fight forever. Sort of tie. We never wanted to win wars that everyone easily with just a couple of little changes or a couple of little edicts. I was told that ISIS would take 5 years to win, and Dan Kane, when I told him how long would it take, he said, "I think about 4 weeks, sir." I said, "What do you mean 4 weeks?" I was told 5 years by the people in Washington. And Dan Kane.
So, the draft dodger. We'll talk, Victoria. The draft dodger is claiming that Korean War veterans, Vietnam War veterans, Iraq Desert Freedom, Iraqi War veterans, Afghanistan War veterans are wokey, too politically correct and wokey. So MAGA voters who voted for Trump, who might be, veterans of those wars, are you wokey? You'll probably figure out a way to justify that too, won't you? Of course you will, because you're oath-breaking fucking traitors. And you'll sit there and allow the President of the United States to insult you like that. Suckers and losers. And now you're too wokey. And Pete Hegseth cheering on the fact that the Department of Defense is now the Department of War. Let's go through a history lesson a little bit, shall we? Because I think this is necessary. The history of the Department of Defense. Let's take a little journey down. This is why history is important. Give me 1 second here. I've got to find this because I think it's great. I'm calling it the Department of Cringe, quite frankly. But here you go.
Since 1949, the United States has had a Department of Defense. Now, President Trump and Pete Hegseth, the boss of the Pentagon, want to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War, which is what it was for most of America's early history. This is a really bad idea for a lot of reasons. First, war isn't the only thing the Pentagon does. National defense, and this is what the people who created the Defense Department understood after World War II, is a daily job. It's not just about sending troops to places to kill people and then come home. National defense takes the efforts of millions of people across the United States every day to keep us safe.
Thanks,
from the federal workers who process paychecks all the way up to the people who guard our nuclear weapons. Second, it would make us a laughingstock in front of the world. Even the Russians, even the Chinese, even the North Koreans have a Ministry of Defense. They don't call it a Department of War. That's macho posturing. I know that the president and the secretary think that they're tough guys, but this is the kind of name change that doesn't make you look tough, it makes you look childish. And finally, if they do change the name, there's also this strange problem of money. It costs a lot of money to rename a cabinet department, and that's going to get very expensive very quickly. This was supposed to be an administration that was about cutting costs. This is the kind of thing that could cost tens of millions of dollars in just having to do things like order new stationery and print new booklets and strike new medals. Overall, this is such a bad idea that I think that the new department, if they really want to rename it, should be the Department of Cringe, because that's what most people who care about national security are doing these days. Every time Pete Hegseth says warfighter or lethality or the Department of War.
So that's Tom Nichols. He's an author for The Atlantic, and he's got a story out. You can read it, The Department of Cringe. It's right. It's right. They just... I'm trying to put my mind... I'm going to be this guy for a second, okay? And you have been convinced that the warrior ethos, lethality, warfighters, is some type of... it's intended to give you a micro dick Woody, and you're excited about it. Gets you off. You're off in the corner taking care of business because you hear words like Department of War, war fighters, the warrior ethos. And then, of course, you don't want women to serve alongside you. And God forbid any member of the trans community serving beside you, even though on the regular, they kick your fucking ass across the board. And now you hear this. Now you hear the Department of War. Yeah, the Department of War will get you. You fiscal conservatives fail to forget or fail to understand that it costs millions of dollars just to change letterhead, signage, medals, name tags. And you're cheering the shit on because you're pathetic. Because you're pathetic. You can't defend it. You're right, V. It's so fucking crazy. It's like, it's crazy. Why the fuck would we do it? What does it do other than allow you guys to stand off in the corner with your micro dicks and get off? It does nothing. Other countries, North Korea, the Ministry of Defense. Exactly. It's something to keep his base entertained. The Department of War. Wanting to use the Department of War and imagery from Apocalypse Now to justify invading Chicago. Why don't you ever want to talk about the cities in our country that have higher rates of crime? How many times, and I saw RJ, props to RJ, how many times do people join his lives and say, well, it's because of the blue cities? No, because if you took the blue cities, the largest cities out of those red states, the red states would still have highest rates of crime. Once again, proving that liberals, wokey people, care more about law and order than MAGA does. We care more about your kids. We care more about your economic future. We want you to have access to food, to shelter, to water. We want a judicial system that works to benefit you, and you don't give a fuck about any of it. You hate brown people and black people and members of LGBTQIA and women and children so much. You hate those marginalized communities so much that you're cheering on the Department of War. Thank you. You hate marginalized communities so much that you are willing to sacrifice kids. How many times have we asked the question, if you could save one child's life, would you give up your firearms? And 9 out of 10 times when I've asked that question, they're like, nope, no way in hell. Instead, let's just give teachers firearms. History's going to remember you. I'm going to make sure that it does. History's going to remember. You sit back in your little safe spaces with other people in your micro-dick community, stuffing your underwear to try to give yourself some kind of a bulge. Even then, it doesn't work. And then you get off on this shit. Because you're told, ho, 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 see what Trump did? Department of War. What are we fighting? Department of War. What are we fighting? Well, it doesn't matter because we're the Department of War. And the rest of the country, the rest of the world is like, what the fuck are they doing now? Meanwhile, China is hosting summits to flip the economic balance of the world. And you guys are cheering it on. And now OPEC's going to increase oil production. Gas prices are going to drop because of that. It always drops for the winter blend. And then in a year's time, after we've lost jobs, in the oil and gas industry, again under Trump, oil prices go back up, gas prices go back up again, and the right will spin it, and the Democrats will take the blame because the Democrats are fucking weak on their messaging. DNC, if you're listening, Steve, Facts, here every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to noon. Hire me and then get the fuck out of the way, and I will show you what messaging looks like. And it won't be pretty, and you'll have to kind of cringe away, but I'll fucking own their asses because none of you all have the balls to do it. You literally have every possible tool at your disposal. Every one. You've got the fact that Trump's on the Epstein list. You got the economy hemorrhaging. You got Department of War bullshit. You got violating constitutional rights. You got invading cities. You got violating posse comitatus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How much more information do you need to come up with a comprehensive, cohesive, direct attack campaign? Go after their fucking bullshit. Today, I don't want a strongly worded letter. I want action. I want assertiveness. I want what Gavin Newsom's doing. And then some. Own their fucking shit. Own it. Own it. It's easy. You don't even have to write this. In a perfect world, you could be imagining, can you imagine, wow, if we only had, can you imagine if there was an administration that did all these things? They're doing it in real time. Right in front of you. And what are you doing to respond? A strongly worded letter? We got to talk about unity. Fuck unity. Fuck unity. Fuck that bullshit. Go after those motherfuckers. They're denying food for kids. They're cutting funding for rural hospitals are going to close. We're losing jobs time and time again. Every single sector except healthcare. People are going to lose their lives. The government's going to shut down because of MAGA Republicans, Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you, all it takes is somebody with some courage. The person who's doing the press, in my opinion, the person who's doing the press for Gavin Newsom should be the communications director for the DNC. Either her or me. I am done with this bullshit. It's so fucking easy to go after this stuff. Every single day. Why is the DNC not putting out an ad saying, release the list? Release the list. Trump's a predator. Release the list. What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? Well, they might sue us. They're going to sue you anyway. Gives a fuck. Well, we want to make sure that we can protect our base. Fuck the base. You know what the base wants? The base wants you guys to go after them. That's what the base wants. There's 1,400 people in here. Most of you have probably voted Democrat or liberal. Would you be willing to risk a little embarrassment to go after these motherfuckers? Of course you would. Would you like to be like, man, that was a scathing ad? Of course you would. Do you want them to go right at the throat? Step on their fucking neck? Abso-fucking-lutely. I'm done with this bullshit. It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. It's almost like they're saying, okay, we don't know what to do. Okay, we do. We're going to bury your ass. This is why I always tell you guys, I know it's scary, and I know it's going to be rough sledding for a long time, and I know families are going to be impacted, and I get it. And we always know that in our system, even when things go well, marginalized communities are the ones that take the brunt of it, and I respect that. I wish it could be different, but it's not. All of us have to remember what's at stake here. Activism, involvement, because apathy is where democracies go to die. It is right in front of you. It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. It's right there. Right there. You just got to grab it. Why you got to grab it? Progressives in charge of messaging from the DNC, or people who don't give a fuck. I don't care. This has got to stop, and it's on us. Like, big props to Jolly and USMC Matt and Laney and our other friends who were down there in DC doing the work. Out there calling this bullshit out. Having an impact on some of the conversations that I've heard about. National Guardsmen are like, I don't know why the fuck we're here. This is ridiculous. Get fired up, friends. Get motivated. Get fired up. The power's right there. Contact your Democratic politicians. Just because they're D doesn't mean that they're on your side. Why are they not being aggressive? I want to see more voices. What do you got to lose? So that's why I say shut the government down. Let it shut down. I respect the people who work in federal positions. I understand that you might not get paid. I get that. But harm reduction. Because this is not going to stop. They're going to continue to do it until somebody stops them. Thankfully, we've got the judiciary. Now we know the appeals court has ruled in E. Jean Carroll's favor. He's going to, again, try to appeal to the Supreme Court. Let him. Let him. Let him. Going to do it anyway. Exactly. There's a bigger picture out there. That's exactly right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've got, there's absolutely, we've got Joni Ernst now stepping aside in Iowa, right? And there's a lot of activity there. We've got Susan Collins. She's in serious trouble, in my opinion. Graham Plattner, who is he's a Down East lobsterman, blue collar guy, veteran, works with MAGA people every single day. He's on the dock. He's literally a blue collar guy. He's the kind of person that we want in Congress. They're in trouble, friends, and they know it. They are in trouble. They cannot retain power unless they cheat. They know they're in trouble. So what are you going to do? You're going to vote. You're going to vote. You're going to bring other people with you. You're going to make sure that your friends and neighbors vote. You're going to talk to independents. You're going to talk to people who've been apathetic about our system, and you're going to get them to the polls. I agree. No more AIPAC. I agree. You're going to do that. That's your mission. Remember how we close the show every single day with do something? That's what you can do. You can contact your reps and say, are you going to be aggressive? What's your plan? Why are you not talking about this? Why are you not putting out ads every single day saying the Trump government shutdown, the MAGA Republican government shutdown? Seriously, it's right there. You can taste it. This is the end of MAGA, in my opinion. This is the end. The only way that it won't end is if we let them keep it. That's it. That's it. Because they know it's over. And they don't expect a response from the left. Because the left has always been apathetic. They don't expect us to respond. They don't expect voters to go to the polls. They don't expect people to run in unchallenged districts. They don't expect ads to be aggressive. They certainly didn't expect what Gavin Newsom's doing because they can't handle it. do it. It's right there. It's right there. Let me give you some more stories about, because I don't ever want to forget what should be the number one issue for all of us, and that would be the voices of the women at the time, girls who were assaulted by this fucking network of predators, of which Ghislaine Maxwell is one. Not a victim, although the right will attempt to spin it. This is from Stacey Williams. I'm going to read this to you. This was posted by The Guardian. These are her words. This is not a partisan issue. The American people and Epstein's many victims deserve transparency. I dated Jeffrey Epstein. The files must be released. In 1986, my life went from black and white to color. It was the year I taped a Duran Duran poster to my rural Pennsylvania high school locker, and then months later hung out with the band members backstage at the Paris runway shows. It was the last year I went from cleaning bathrooms for $3.35 an hour to making $50K in a day for a Maybelline shoot. Modeling opened a door into gorgeous, creative, elite world, a dream born of biological accident. It is also what led me decades later into the very uncomfortable position of speaking out about the horrific legacy of the child offender, J.E., whom I briefly dated in 1993. I was introduced to Epstein at a dinner party, which I attended at the request of my then agent, Faith Cates. He was charming and smart and didn't condescend as we connected over current events and the state of the world, a rare experience for me in those scenarios. The brief relationship that emerged was consensual, but some of the events that took place within the confines of that relationship certainly were not. Last October, I came forward with a story I had kept private, with the exception of sharing with my closest friends, for decades. Epstein once walked me into Donald Trump's office at Trump Tower, where I was groped by Trump as Epstein stood by and watched. Trump denies that this ever happened. For years, I stayed silent in order to protect my privacy and my family. But with the release of a documentary in which I was featured, I felt I had to tell the truth. To support my account, I was polygraphed by a renowned examiner. My close friends were interviewed to corroborate that I had shared the same story with them over the years, and Trump biographer Michael Wolff confirmed that Epstein disclosed the incident to him. More recently, I've also shared something Epstein once told me over tea and Zabar's walnut bread at his mansion, that he had, quote, video of me disrobed in a bedroom in his home. He described it as the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Trigger warnings, my apologies. That comment chilled me then, and it haunts me still. When I watched FBI agents raid his home in 2019, I grew nauseous at the thought that such videos could have ended up in the hands of other people. Let me be clear. I did not consent to being groped by Donald Trump. I did not consent to being filmed by Jeffrey Epstein. I'm speaking out not because of politics, but because of the American people. And Epstein's many victims deserve transparency. This is not a partisan issue. Being a victim crosses party lines. That's why I've been encouraged to see Representatives Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California, and Thomas Massie, a Republican from Kentucky, from opposite sides of the aisle, standing beside Epstein's victims on Capitol Hill, demanding the release of the files. Hundreds of women have lived in the shadow of this man's crimes. They deserve truth, not secrecy. Yet what we've seen is a game of political chicken. The Wall Street Journal reported that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, privately told Trump his name appears in the Epstein files numerous times. The Justice Department's second in command, Todd Blanche, Trump's former lawyer, met behind closed doors, not with victims, but with Maxwell, who was serving a 20-year sentence for helping Epstein abuse underage girls. And despite public assurances that there is nothing to see, Congress recessed early rather than debating the issue. Maxwell, meanwhile, was quietly moved to a more comfortable minimum security prison in Texas, despite the fact that she repeatedly deflected and minimized facts during her interview. She lied. 2 days ago, in a deceptive move supposedly intended to signal transparency, the House Oversight Committee released more than 33,000 files related to Epstein that received from the Justice Department. As Representative Massie pointed out, 97% of those pages are already in the public domain. So here I am, like so many women in my position, mustering the courage to disclose and jumping through hoops to prove my truth, while perpetrators and enablers enjoy the benefit of secrecy. It is baffling that leaders from the president on down insist that there is nothing to see here, yet refuse to release the actual files. It is equally baffling to hear Alan Dershowitz deny that surveillance tapes exist when testimony and evidence suggest otherwise. Maria Farmer, one of the first women to report Epstein and Maxwell for their crimes, told CBS that Epstein had hidden cameras throughout his home. A recent New York Times report included images of video cameras inside his home, even above his bed. And Epstein specifically boasted that he had video footage of me, Stacey. I know my pain is shared by countless survivors. I think of Virginia Dufresne, who tragically took her own life this past April. One of the re-traumatization survivors endured as they watched Maxwell settle into a more comfortable facility while their stories remain buried. That is not justice. We deserve peace of mind. We deserve healing that comes with accountability, and that will never come so long as our trauma is reduced to partisan warfare. Sexual violence and trafficking have no political party. It is time to put politics aside, release the files, and help free the women at the center of this tragedy from a nightmare that has lasted for decades. That's Stacey Williams. Any comments, MAGA? You're not going to believe her, right? Because she named names. But you'll believe Ghislaine Maxwell, the perpetrator? You'll believe her, right? You'll believe her when she said in the transcript that she didn't see Trump do anything wrong. You'll believe that. She also said in that same transcript that she didn't see Bill Clinton do anything wrong. You won't believe that. Will you believe Stacey Williams? Will you believe her? Her name is Stacey Williams. I'll have the mods post this article. I'm sure it's available someplace else too. Hold on. Seriously, how are you gonna respond to that? How are you gonna respond? Are you gonna pick and choose? Are you gonna pick and choose the women that you believe? Because we know that you don't believe women, period. This is why it's the end for MAGA. This is it. This is it. The simple, what all of you, instead of coming in here and complaining about some silver-haired lib talking about this shit all day, why don't you be fucking adults and stand up and say, this information needs to go public. We can have a kumbaya moment together. We can hold hands, we can dance around the campfire, and we can all celebrate that finally someone had courage to release the information that we know is available, that the Department of Justice has been lying about. Why can't you do it? I'd like to know. I'd like to know. A little bit more reporting. It is just, to me, these stories are hard to listen to. They're hard to hear. This was Stacey Williams talking about it. Like, I didn't consent to being groped. I didn't consent to Jeffrey Epstein taking, pictures of me nude, videos of me nude. Exactly, Sharon. Stand up once for the survivors. Defend women once. Believe them once. Once. You have been conditioned. Do you see why it is so easy for us to campaign against you? Because you're defending P3DOs. That's what you're doing. You're defending them. You're protecting them. There are creators in this space that are how funny that the right accuses the left all the time of grifting when that's all they do. In fact, they don't get any crowds in their lives unless we go there, right? And you're talking about you put up these backgrounds and you sit there and you lit it and you smell your own fucking farts because that's all you get. That's how you get off. It's what you get off on. Could you one time use your space to call out other people in your circle to say, why has the administration not released this info? Why? Explain it. Explain it. Instead, what the administration does is say that anybody who signs this discharge petition is committing a hostile act towards the administration. What? These women who were girls, who were children when they were assaulted, went public at the fear of death. Many of them have been threatened numerous times. Numerous times. They did it. Because most of you don't want that. So elected Republicans are just, they're not going to get their APAC money anymore? Yeah, probably. Not going to get their NRA money anymore? Yeah, probably. Christians, right? Most of them? Yeah. Yeah, that tracks. I know we've now got some, Katie Johnson, Jane Doe, has been speaking, and I've got some sound from her. Let me see if I can find the right one, because there's one, I just want to make sure the language is appropriate, if I have the right one here. Stand by a second. I'll play that in a minute. It shouldn't be that challenging. It really shouldn't be that difficult. It really shouldn't. This is a moment. Hi, my friend. How are you?
Hello, my friend. I have some breaking news.
Yeah, we heard. Go for it.
Okay, I didn't know if you did.
No, go for it, please.
This morning, the Federal Court of Appeals rejected Donald Trump's $83 million judgment against E. Jean Carroll. So he has now lost both of his appeals. And since the money has already been paid into bond, there's nothing he can do. That money is going to be released to E. Jean Carroll.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
A little bit of justice. Yeah. I know he said he's going to appeal it to the Supreme Court, but I don't know based on what. I don't know what he's going to appeal it on.
Absolutely not.
But good luck.
To work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I knew based on talking to Roberta Kaplan way back when this trial was going on, and just watching the parts that I did get to see, that he was going to lose the appeals eventually, and he did. So
took a little bit longer than we would have wanted, perhaps, but here we are.
Yeah, I think that this was a pretty typical time frame for appeals. I've been through an appeal in New York State myself, and it took longer than this. Unfortunately, we lost, but it took about 3 years. So this was actually faster than that. And I hope that this sends a message to other perpetrators, to other survivors, that as often as we don't get justice, sometimes we do. And so I'm just super, super happy for her. And yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I know that her plan is to divide it and disperse it to his other victims.
That's amazing.
So that's been her plan. And so, despite her little jokey jokes about buying people houses, those were jokes. She's legitimately going to give it to the other survivors. So I'm happy for them too. Some piece of justice for them. And I'm wondering if they'll take into consideration these Epstein victims as well. I don't know. I'll have to talk to her, but
it's got to be an interesting. Every day's interesting. Amber, we've spoken many times, including recently. But when things like this, it's just got to be just this flood of all kinds of stuff. I'm sure your aunt is feeling it. I'm sure that you're feeling it. But in a strange way, it's justice, right? It's justice, which is what we've all been asking for. We've all been asking for justice and accountability, right?
Yes, and I will say, I'll be just completely brutally honest with everybody here. I'm thrilled for her.
Yeah.
That nothing can take away from that. At the same time, to be totally honest with you, it brings back a lot of feelings about my own situation, where we had a civil suit against the county for what happened to our family and my dad. We went to trial. The county lost. They were ordered to pay us $1.8 million, which it's hard because how much is a life worth? But the county appealed, and they won the appeal because they said that this would bankrupt the county, which is ridiculous. And I'm still angry about that. About the fact that we didn't get the justice we deserved, but this, in a way, feels a little bit like some karma coming back to us, that someone that we love and support has gotten theirs. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel conflicted.
I do.
Selfishly, I think
understand.
I think it sounds selfish of me right now to be thinking about all the things that my family has lost.
No, it's not selfish at all, Amber. Absolutely not. Nope,
Like, I just can't help it. I feel angry.
You've been wronged. You've been wronged. The system, you've been wronged by the system. You know, and you have, I mean, as we always talk about in our space, you know, you can look at things a variety of ways, and you know there's been lots of tragedy in your family. And this is something that, although it doesn't directly impact you, it is something that you've been part of, and there's some justice here. There's some justice.
Have put forward a great deal of emotional labor advocating for her. So in a way, it feels like it was worth it to do that. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, I guess I'm just kind of like not really coherent right now. I'm just.
No, you are. Everybody gets you.
I'm thinking about everything our family went through. And I just feel like my mom deserved better. But it is what it is, so. And it wasn't about the money, like, dividing after the lawyer gets 30%, right, and taxes and all that. Like, it wouldn't have done, like, a whole lot, like, over the course of the last 30 years, but it wasn't about that. It was about the fact that the county held their own sheriff's department accountable for what they did, and we wanted that to stick. We wanted that to stick, and when it was overturned, they were celebrating and saying terrible things, and that was reported in the paper, and that was traumatic for our family as well. It just never fucking ends. So, anyway, sorry to get off on my own thing. It just brings up a lot of feelings. But I just want to thank everybody who has helped me support Eugene Carroll on this app and fighting for her story. And we won, guys. He lost. Everybody agrees. Both juries, both courts of appeals agree. So I don't really feel like there's much of an argument to be made anymore against her. I don't care what anybody says. So, yeah, I'm just feeling really emotional, and I just want to thank everybody who has supported me, reached out to me, helped me tell her story, just been there, like, have my back every step of the way. Love you all so much. You guys mean so much to me, and I've told her about all of you, and she appreciates it too. Yeah. I feel like I've gotten the support talking about this that I needed so badly for my own situation and did not get. So in a way, it's been a little bit of healing for me.
Well, you know how I feel about you and how our community feels about you. So
I do, and it just means the world to me. I've been really, really depressed for about a year. So this is a bright spot today. It's a bright spot. Yeah.
It's in a way, because we've been on this journey with you in a strange way. It's a bright spot for many of us. It's a bright spot for many of us because, you know, we believe in these kinds of things. Yeah, we believe in justice. You know, we believe in accountability, and that's what and you know, sadly, it's like I've said this to you before. We should know each other. I'm glad we do. I'm really glad that we do. And I say that about lots of people. I say that about Brett. I say that about you. There's lots of people that we should not know. I'm glad I do. So we feel like we've been part of this journey with you. I don't mean, I'm trying not to be, you know, pathetic by saying that. Obviously, this has been a journey for yourself and your family, but we've been part of this with you. And now we're at a point now where the people on the right are going to try to blame everybody but the person who committed the crime.
Yeah.
It's going to be the judges, it's going to be the lawyers, it's going to be the system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Because they refuse to believe women.
And it's honestly, like, at this point, especially now, like, literally in one ear and out the other. I don't care.
I don't care either.
And
I don't care either.
You know, my Eugene's sister, Candy, who I'm really close to as well, has been affected by this almost as much as Eugene herself, and she's such a wonderful person. I'm so happy for her today as well. And every survivor who has seen no accountability take place, to know that someone fought for it and got it. And to hope that this is could signal a change in the way these situations turn out. We have a long way to go, for sure. But
we do.
30 years ago, when this was happening to me, even then it was worse than it is now in some ways. Yeah. And, nobody believed me. I was just some 17-year-old blonde girl, and they didn't take me seriously. And because they didn't take me seriously, I don't have a dad anymore. So they didn't listen to me. And I'm really angry about that. And you know what? I know this is the internet and whatnot, but I am not capable of being like inauthentic. This is just, I am who I am all the time, and this is how I feel right now. So I just feel like sometimes, people need to hear people just be raw, to know that they're not alone, like when they feel this way. I still have, a wonderful life and husband and 4 kids and blessings up, down, and sideways, but this pain will never leave me, So the support that I got on here means a great deal to me. Thank you so much, everybody, for having my back. I love you all.
We love you too, Amber. Anytime. You know where to find me any hour of the day, okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Love you, everybody. Love you, Steve.
Love you too. See you later, Amber. Bye.
See ya.
Everybody just take a moment, right? This is real life, friends. This ain't a movie. This is real life. That's a real person. Amber and I talk, we spoke just recently. It's like, I know her, she's told me stories. I've shared stories of my life. We have a connection, and I can't, you heard it in her mouth, from her own mouth, about how it's difficult for her to even embrace this bit of good news. But it is good news. There's justice. Her aunt being the victim of Donald Trump's violence and assault and lies. And she used her rights, and she used her courage, and she used her bravery, and she used the system to punish him. And he got punished. And that is truth to power. And I'm so incredibly grateful for your courage, Amber. I'm so incredibly grateful that we've got this decision. For case of you, those of you that are just joining, the appeals court ruled against Trump in his attempt to have the civil penalties and the ruling by the judge and the jury overturned. And so then he therefore is still an adjudicated sexual predator, and lost $88 million because that money had to be held. She now gets it. But our friends on the right won't ever believe it, because they don't believe women. I've already seen some comments come scrolling by. You mean the corrupt judges? Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. I do want to take this moment just because we need to continue to call this out. I'm going to play some additional sound for you guys. Another victim speaking out. And these are not easy to listen to, but I think this is a great opportunity to continue to do it, because if we don't, who will? I do not trust our legacy media. I have no faith in them to report the story properly. I have no faith in legacy media to talk about things in the way in which we do. None. So I'm going to play this sound. This person's name I'll give to you in a second, but I just want to listen to the sound first, and we'll talk about it.
I only knew Jeffrey Epstein for 5 days during a trip to Zorro Ranch.
his massive compound surrounded by government land in the New Mexico desert. Epstein took my sexual innocence in front of a wall of framed photographs of him shaking hands and.
I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't seem like it wants to play. Let me try to fix it. Hang on one second. Having a little tech issues at the moment. I'll get back to it. Pictures of Steve Bannon and Donald Trump on the wall of his compound in New Mexico. You know, I mean, these are the conversations that are long overdue. And we've reached this point because of the simple endeavor that we ask people to just believe women. It's not that hard. It's really not. And I've used this analogy before, right? People on the left, when facing, hang on a second. Yeah, I got you, Sam. Before I play that audio, my apologies. I will trigger warning you all. Once I can get it to fix itself. I don't know what's happening. My computer's frozen at the moment, but that's okay. I can talk. Much like everything else, we tend to lean in. People on the left tend to lean in because we believe in the opportunities to reduce harm as much as possible. Now, I use the analogy about food, right? There could be 100 people standing in front of you. Somebody who's on the left cares about things like that. We would want every person of those 100 fed, even if one person was lying about their situation. The other hand, on the right, the same 100 people could be standing in front of you, and you wouldn't feed any of them in case one person was not deserving. Similarly, in this case, you choose not to believe women for no reason other than you've been told to not believe women. Everybody is a threat. Everybody. Everybody is a threat to your way of life. Everyone. Why? Why does it have to be that way? Who told you that you have to just be in this position where you just decide to not believe women? Why? Why? We have justice. It's something that we should celebrate. You've created this. Hang on a second. You've created this scenario where you have put everything, you being the conservative right, the people who claim to care about children, women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've put yourself in this position where it doesn't matter what is said. You could hear the most horrible examples of testimony. You can be given all kinds of evidence, but what you will do is blame the system and not the people in it. And then you'll pick and choose the people that you want to believe. So you believe Ghislaine Maxwell when you heard the sound that she said, I didn't see Trump do anything. But what the right-wing echo chamber, though, won't tell you is in that same transcript, she said that she didn't see Bill Clinton do anything either. So then, do you believe her or do you not? Do you not believe a jury in Amber's aunt's case, E. Jean Carroll's case? Do you not believe that jury? No, you don't, because the crime happened in New York. Sixth Amendment. Face your accusers. You don't believe that. You don't believe the ruling. You don't believe that. You won't believe it. You won't believe any of the women who were girls when it happens, when they were standing out in front of the Capitol, sharing their stories, many of them for the first time publicly. You won't believe any of them. Nope. Because you've been conditioned. You've been brainwashed that anybody who talks bad against the cult leader is part of the deep state. You've been primed and you're susceptible to propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, you name it. All of it. It doesn't matter to you all. You don't care about anything other than your place in the cult. Like, I think my computer's working again. Hang on a second. my concern is the damage that's been done to our systems already, and how do we come back from it? Because we are all questioning it. We have these conversations in our mod chat all the time, right? Like I have an idea and I'll be like, how should we talk about this, guys? And I value their opinion so much. And we collaborate things and I want them to challenge me. Like, can we believe this? Can we trust this? Can we lean in on this? We got this Project Veritas connected to this audio from this DOJ official. Should we talk about it? And what we agree is we'll talk about what we know. I'll offer my opinions, but I'm not up here to speculate, which I'm really, really glad last week before Trump's appearance, the proof of life moment, that we didn't jump down all those rabbit holes about what he has, what he doesn't have. He could have this, he could have that. No, and I'm glad we took that tact and we ended up being right. But now we're in this position where we should always be questioning things, but what's considered reliable anymore? Like, what's considered reliable information? And I think that the challenge for all of us, this goes for all of us. We have to be very, very careful. Now, especially, because it's going to be easy to jump on things that go against, or it's going to be easy to jump on things when it's critical of Trump or whomever else, right? And that's dangerous for all of us. We should all want the truth, which is why sometimes when I debate people on the right, it's hilarious. I'm like, do you really want to go down that particular road? Do you want to, you're going to put your eggs in that basket? So I'm going to offer a trigger warning in advance for this audio. And so again, this is relatively graphic. I just think it's important in context because we cannot let this story die. We need to be hearing voices of survivors and victims. So trigger warning. Thank you for that reminder, Sam. This person's going by the name of Jane Doe for the purposes of this story. Hold on. It does not want me to play it now. That's fine. Don't need to. Probably good that I don't anyway. I don't know what else to say on that topic, other than we've now entered this world where we have our society in particular has decided that protecting predators is more important than protecting victims. The people in leadership positions in our country are protecting predators. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. The people in our system are protecting predators. Think about that. I've lost all audio. It's fine. It's no big deal. How do we fix it? We fix it by showing up for those victims, those survivors. We fix it by showing up for women who've not been believed at any point in their lives. We show up for the 1 in 4 women who are assaulted on the regular. We show up for children who've been groomed. We show up for people that are stuck in the foster care system and are abused and trafficked. We show up for them. That's how we do it. That's what we do. Those are things that we can do. Those are the things that all of us can do. I've pled with you guys before. I'm going to do it again. If you've ever enjoyed the content that we talk about here, you show up every single day, and I am so grateful for that. I don't often want to use the, for lack of a better term, the clout that we've established here, but I'm going to use it now. If you've ever watched my show at any point or supported our community, I am pleading with you to participate in democracy. I am pleading with you to volunteer in your community. I'm pleading with you to contact your elected officials and demand justice for the survivors of this. To demand justice. Hold them accountable. Go to town halls. Go to City Hall, go to municipal meetings. Contact your legislatures. That's not a lot to ask. It's not. It's not. And men, you got to fucking show up. You got to show up. You've got a patriarchal, misogynistic script in your head, and you got to tear that fucker up, and you got to start showing up. We are working hard to try to do a live that is about building a better man. Okay? And what does that look like to you? What values do you want to see if we are reconstructing? Deconstructing first and then reconstructing men. What does that look like? We know the negative. We know it's all men until it's no men. We know women choose the bear. How then do we use opportunities to have conversations, especially with the young men in our lives? How do we, or what should we expect? Is settling, is like table scraps, basic things, is that enough? Is that become enough now? Is just the basics? Is that all we can expect from men? Is that it? Maybe. That's really that's depressing to me. What does it look like? What traits? Try to separate your partner if you're fortunate enough to have someone, a good man in your life. Okay? Try to separate yourself from the romance, the romantic side, the relationship side, and just ask your question, right? Just ask the question. Try to remove yourself from your husband, your partner, your boyfriend. Remove yourself from that. And just, if you're going into this thinking, what makes a good man? Should be a good person. But it is men that are the problem. And in particular, white men. It's all men until it's no men. It's all white people until it's no people. It's all white people until it's not. Therefore, it's all white men until it's not. Somebody gave the bowl of Skittles analogy, I think, right? There's one poison pill in a bowl of 500 Skittles. Would you eat any of those Skittles? No, you wouldn't. That's what women face every single day. How do you know what Skittles not going to kill you? The answer is you don't. I'm glad that many of you are lucky. I'm glad. But you didn't know your husband was a good man going in. So go back to before you had your relationship. Go back to before you just started dating. Go back to that time, right? Go back to that time. And then ask yourself, what does that look like? What are those values? Is it honesty? Is it integrity? Is it vulnerability? Is it accountability? Is it sincerity? We really want to do a live on this topic. I don't want it to be man-centric. I just want it to be like, these are examples of things that we can do. These are examples of things that other men need to be telling other men. These are the traits and qualities that you should have. And why the fuck don't you? Like, why don't you? Is table scrap suddenly enough? I don't know. Hi, Heather.
Hey. My thing with young men, and sadly it's because a lot of moms have had to go to work, but is trying to raise them to be gentlemen. Like, that's pretty much what we did with our son, was to raise him to be a gentleman and to be courteous and polite and honest and, not play mind games and just be a good person. And his dad was a great example for him. And I'm so thankful that he had the dad he had.
Yeah, but I mean, I hear you, but isn't that the bare minimum though? Shouldn't we all just be nice? Shouldn't we all just be kind? Shouldn't we all just be generous?
Yeah, but I'm talking about like, if my husband saw, like, if we were out and he saw a woman who looked like somebody was harassing her, or, just that she was really uncomfortable or whatever, he would literally step in and rescue her. Just by, and he could do it without starting any kind of fight. He would just like go, hey, are you okay? Let's go talk. And he'd just kind of walk him away from the guy. And the guy would just kind of stand there dumbfounded, like, what just happened? But he was also big enough, I guess, that he could be intimidating. But just simple things that I don't think we're teaching our young men.
I hear what you're saying, and because you're my friend, I'm going to challenge your thinking a little bit, because there's a little bit of misogyny that crept in there. Women aren't asking men to rescue them. That's not what they're asking for. They're just asking them to not be fucking predators.
Yeah, I realized that, and that that was he saw the other guy as a predator, and then felt the need to. And yes, we need to raise them all so they don't want to be predators. and I think a lot of that comes from the old women are hysterical, men are the strong ones, men can't be emotional, and we have to erase all of that garbage and just teach them to be human beings.
Yeah. Examples. Just be mindful. There's a little. You've got that, and you may not even realize it, Heather. And I've been unpacking this too. There's a bit of misogyny running around in your head just because of the way in which you said it. And again, I know that was not your intention, but we've got to change that script. That women don't. I'm going to speak on my perception. I don't represent that community. Women aren't asking to be rescued. They're just asking for men to not be fucking predators. So
I
keep
agree.
that in mind. But thanks for jumping in today, Heather. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just wild, right? It's just wild. I mean, this is. We're gonna get into this now. It's okay. It's one of those things that we have to be very mindful of because I've talked about how damaging the patriarchy and misogyny is to women. It's also damaging to men, and that script runs through many people's heads. Last time I checked, most of the women that I know aren't asking to be protected. That is a script. That is the misogyny. The only people that can protect you are men. We've got to get rid of that. We have to. Why? First of all, why are we even talking about it that somebody has to step in and protect? The issue needs to happen before that. We have to educate people, right? We have to educate men, educate them to the damage that they do on the regular, right? That's just weird to me that we're still living that mindset. Due respect, Heather. I understand what you're trying to say, but we've got to look at it differently. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, bro. So you remind me, as you and I have discussed previously, my dating history is colorful at best. But certainly in my youth, the vast majority of the time that I would have a relationship end, it was very easy for me to label her as crazy because of her reasoning. Being very emotional about things I had nothing to do with, or just not understanding that something's wrong here, and kind of feeling like I got hoodwinked. I got sucked in only to be cast aside when I had done everything in my power to be a decent person. But that was youth. That was the folly of youth, and that was feeling my own hurt and not having any sense of empathy toward why. And I started asking myself what was sort of a chicken and the egg question. What came first? The crazy woman or the guy who made her that way? Or guys who made her that way? And then I came to realize that's not a chicken or egg question. The answer is obvious. And so then I'd step back even further and say, okay, what is it? And again, we're going back over 40 years to now, when women weren't feeling as free to speak freely, to expose their vulnerabilities freely, and they would internalize. And then someone like me comes along, and I didn't have the tools to deal with it. So as an old man, if I can speak to any of the younger pups out there, instead of getting mad at women for rejecting you, for not trusting you, when you yourself didn't do anything, you may be completely innocent in this, and you get upset because your bearing the brunt of this. I used to say to myself, I am not going to pay for another man's mistakes. Bullshit. I'm absolutely going to pay for another man's mistakes because nobody else is paying for it. If I can take that step forward and I could say, you know what? You can throw the slings and arrows at me. I could take it. I'm not the guy who caused the damage. I'm not the guy who's trying to weasel his way in or out of this. And if I'm not the guy to help you, I'm not the guy to help you. I'll do what I can to point you in the right direction. Whether you take it or not is up to you. But, you know, age has certainly given me some perspective. Being a girl dad has given me a lot of perspective. I know you get that. But it is all men till it's no men. And I know it was never me. And that doesn't hurt my feelings. I do understand why they picked the bear. I get that. I would pick the bear. Yeah, I would pick the bear. It just boggles my mind that so many of these guys get so butthurt because they can't empathize. They can't step back and look at it from a third-party perspective. They just can't. It's all personal to them. And they feel slighted, which means one of two things. Either they're the ones committing the atrocities, or they have suffered because of those atrocities. Mm-hmm. But they don't then turn around and you know, if you go to adopt a dog from a shelter and they're telling you this dog has been abused, this dog has had a really, really rough life, it's going to take you a lot of time and patience to change this dog. And you agree to do that. And then the dog bites you. Do you get mad at the dog? Knowing in advance the dog was bitten, or the dog was abused, the dog was tortured, the dog had all this terrible crap happen to him, and then, surprise, surprise, the dog bites you. Do you get mad at the dog? Or do you sit back and go, God, I feel so bad. Yes, I got hurt. The dog bit me. That sucks. But I feel bad that the dog felt like they had to.
Correct.
Based on their history. Not that I'm saying women are dogs before somebody says that in the chat, but you know, it's the same principle here. So if you can do that for a dog, why can't you do that for a person?
And I'm sure you would agree that, I mean, I'll take this. I mean, I absolutely participated in locker room talk when I was younger. There's no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And part of the journey for me is realizing that, right? And so I lean in hard on it, and I think that people.
On that subject of locker room talk, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know for myself, there's a difference between locker room talk and predator talk.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that the objective here is that it's not okay under any condition, under any circumstance. It's just not okay. So the opportunity here exists, even if it's something small, right? Even if it's something small, to say that is just not acceptable. It's just not, because again, two dudes talking, two mature, devilishly handsome, very humble gentlemen speaking on this topic because we feel like we want to be influenced over other people. Not that we're excluding women from this conversation, but we have to have this conversation to try to make changes. It's not okay, because the acceptance and participation in locker room talk leads to other things. It is the match, in my opinion. Because from my perspective, it already puts that person in a position of superiority that they can talk about women in that regard, participate in it, and otherwise not call it out too. So that's kind of why I think it's just not acceptable. But I participated in it, and I will admit that I participated in it, and I did. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I'm easily able to admit it because I'm trying to be better. That's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to be better because it is on us. It's not women's job to fix men. It's men's job to fix men. It is. Yes. So the whole male loneliness epidemic is fucking bullshit. Men, the reason you're lonely is is because you're fucking assholes. The reason you're lonely is because women don't fucking trust you. The reason you're lonely is because you're probably a fucking dick. Own that shit. Fix it. Be fucking better. Be better. Like, just, it's not that hard. I mean, it's really not. It's a choice. Women don't need your protection. They don't need you to come riding in on the white horse, fantasies aside. They don't need that. They just don't want you to be a fucking asshole. How about positioning yourself in a place where they might actually feel safe with you? I'm a big believer in emotional intimacy. From my perspective, if you can gain emotional intimacy, then that leads to intimacy like you've never imagined in your life, because it's this environment of trust. You can be vulnerable. You can be accountable. You can recognize your mistakes. Stop trying to fix everything. That's how you get true intimacy. And it starts with, I don't know, shutting the fuck up and listening. Listening, yes. Being accountable, trying to navigate through this, trying to look at, listen, we can never we can't walk in women's shoes. So it's our jobs to sit back and say,
it hurts real bad.
I've worn heels on stage. That's a different conversation. We can't walk in women's shoes. But what we need to do is watch them walk in their shoes.
Yes.
So that we can be like, holy fuck, there's potholes everywhere. How do we fix it? We got to call this shit out. Call it out. And then what you don't realize is how the world could potentially open up. Listen, I want to be very clear. I am not under any conditions claiming to be a good man. I am not doing that. I am not the arbiter for that. I don't want anybody to think that I'm sitting up here saying that. And I know Rusty's doing the same. He's not calling himself a good man either, because we're not the arbiters for it. Nope. All we are trying to do is say, these are things that we saw when we were growing up. These are things that we did when we were growing up. We've now reached the point where we can call this shit out more and more and more. We're not the arbiters. I have no expectation, if I walk into a room with strangers, that any woman in there is going to trust me. I have no expectation, and they shouldn't. They absolutely should not. Why can't other men just fucking get over it? Stop making it about you and make it about the women in your life, the femme-presenting people in your life who've been harmed by the system. Because, fellas, you're all predators until you're not. Just own it. Just own it. And fix it. And be better. And shut the fuck up. And listen. And try to learn. And shut the fuck up. Oh, let me say it again. Shut the fuck up. And listen. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're spot on, man. The most I can ever claim is that I have tried to be as respectful as possible. I'm not a good man. I don't even know what the hell that is. But I will say that the one thing I learned as a kid and that I pretty much adhered to is I've tried to be as respectful as possible, which coming from me sounds funny because if you've followed me at all, you've heard me be very disrespectful of people, but certainly never in a more personal exchange. But I freely understand respect has to be earned. And there's a big difference, fellas, between respect and fear.
Correct.
If you can't get respect, you're going to make them fear you. That's not respect. And once you are respected, my young Padawans, the world is your oyster. It opens up for you. Once you are respected versus, you demand respect. Well, fuck you.
Correct. Feared or whatever. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, earn it. Be honest, be upfront, and listen. The fact said it repeatedly. Shut the fuck up and listen. You'd be amazed at what happens when you shut the fuck up and listen.
Yep.
So
yep.
That's
I've made mistakes in relationships that I've had. I've made mistakes, and I've looked back on it. Again, I'm trying really hard. This is not about me. I want to make this very, very clear. This is just observational. These are things that I've seen, that I witness, and I have these conversations with my boys regularly because they are in the red pill sweet spot. Thankfully, they have strong women in their lives. Their partners are amazing, and their sister will call their shit out without hesitation, no doubt about it. I'm genuinely concerned because men are becoming more and more conservative. More and more red pilling, the Charlie Kirk effect, the Andrew Tate effect, the Jordan Peterson effect. These figures that they idolize who diminish women on the regular. So what happens? So what's the counter programming? They're not going to listen to women. That's proven because they now see women as property. They now see women as accomplishments, not just on the bedpost trophies. So what does it take? The counter programmings are conversations like Rusty and I are having. Because we really see, I can't speak for you, but I know talking to you, I'm concerned. I'm genuinely concerned. I'm concerned. I mean, we should all be concerned about our daughters, but we should also be concerned about our sons too. We really should, because they're the ones that are being brainwashed and manipulated and indoctrinated into a culture that diminishes women as property. And they think that they can look at Andrew Tate's success and they can look at Charlie Kirk's success. They say, well, those guys say horrible things about women, but I guess that's what it takes to be successful. And then they're off to the races. We've got to stop it. And it's going to take people like Rusty and I and others who understand it, who are humble enough and accountable enough and vulnerable enough to say, we fucked up. We're part of it too. We agree that it's all men until it's no men. And that's never to say that good men don't exist. That's not the point of that statement. It's because the system that we live in, that was built by people who look like us, to support people who look like us, to benefit people who look like us, take advantage of it every single day. And until that system changes, then it's always going to be like that. And who's going to change it? It's got to be us. I landed my plane. Any other thoughts there, buddy?
No, it's a really important topic to cover. It's a really important soapbox to get on. I hope we're not just yelling into the void. I do believe that a portion of this does have to do with, smooth brains not wrinkling till you're over 25. And, Andrew Tate and Charlie Kirk, who are their followers? Fucking kids.
Exactly.
There aren't 40-year-old men who follow Andrew Tate and Charlie Kirk. Yes, I know there are some, but they're not the demographic they're going for. They're going for the juice demographic of 16 to 25. The demographic every company goes for, 16 to 25. That's where they capitalize. And unfortunately, when you're looking at, 20-year-old men who wouldn't know their ass from a Pop-Tart, helpful hint, guys, the Pop-Tart's frosted. They're easy. They're easy pickings because they're frustrated. Some of these guys could not get laid in a women's prison. And instead of standing back and going, okay, what am I doing wrong here? It's easy to then blame somebody else, blame women, blame the media, blame blah, 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 blah. Couldn't be my fault. Couldn't be that I'm a jackass. No. That's not it. That girl's just a bitch. Whatever, But when you get a little older and a few more scars, you go, oh wait, that was horseshit. I mean, what's the old saying? When you're 16, you know everything. When you're 20, you're absolutely convinced you know everything. When you're 30, you begin to realize you don't quite know as much as you did. When you're 40, you're pretty sure you don't know that much. And by the time you're 50, you realize I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. And every single day, I realize more and more that I'm an idiot about lots of things, and the whole goal is to try to learn and be better. Thanks for jumping in today, buddy. I appreciate you very much.
Take care.
Have a good day. Later. Okay, friends. So a lot to digest. Obviously, there's a purpose for these conversations because I want to enact change. If you're interested in participating in future conversations like this in the Discord, there is a channel. It's called The Blueprint of a Better Man. We're asking your opinions. We had some really great debate over the weekend about what that would look like. And I guess I would just like to ask you to try to separate maybe the attributes that you have in your partner, but try to separate the romantic side and the relationship side and just ask yourself what those traits are. My genuine concern is that table scraps are going to be enough. Like, just be kind. Just be nice. I don't think that's enough. I just don't. Thank you guys for being here today. Really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to go raid our friend Left Jess. Go tell her we said hello. Thank you, mods. You guys are the best mods in the business. Thank you, chat. You guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. Appreciate you all. Somebody asked, yes, you can watch the replay of this on my YouTube channel. If you've yet to subscribe, please do so. Thank you again. Again, as a reminder, we are crowdfunded here. You can find all of the various things at Factsstillmatter. I appreciate you all very, very much.